Ahoy, landlubbers! It's me, your Captain Vasco speaking. And welcome. It is Saturday, September 17th. That number feels weird for no particular reason. It just doesn't feel like that's the date. But it is, or so my computer tells me. I'm ready to play some Lamplight City. This game's been on my to-do list for a while. I think I got this at the same time I bought Wintermore Tactics Club. So probably like a year ago, if that's true. I think I got them on sale around like October or something. Some year. Anyway, the point is, Lamplight City. So originally my takeaway from the trailer I saw in Steam made it kind of seem like this game seems to be set in like the early 20th century ish, somewhere around that time. Sort of a Victorian-era, turn of the century kind of deal. Somewhere in that time frame. I'm really bad at history and knowing stuff. Just assume whatever I'm saying is close enough to correct that we're not going to make a big deal of it. And I thought that like because of that and because of like the heavy spooky ambiance of some of the things in the marketing, that like it might be some sort of supernatural eldritch horror kind of thing, because a lot of that those Lovecraftian stories are kind of set in that same time period too. But like in trying to do some research to get this game working, I encountered like just like a little bit more information about it. And it feels like it might be closer to just like spooky, slightly alternate history, murder mysteries, which is still like fine. I have no problem with this. It looks very atmospheric. Here, let's take a look together. Look, it's working. Hooray. Another thing worth noting is that it natively has, I don't remember exactly what it is. It's like 680 by 480 or something. It has like some really weird aspect ratio that I think is meant to replicate older games, even though this came out in like 2017 or 2018. And so because I've been having a lot of like aspect ratio related issues with my computer recently, when I went to try and run this again, I thought that it was a related issue, but it's not. The game is just weird. So we're gonna run it like this with this little background bit and pretend it looks professional. Um, back to big screen. There's one other thing I want to talk about before we get started. Obviously, there's nothing to recap because I've played none minutes of this game. I like clicked past to the very start of the game to just try and check something, and I learned nothing. Everything is basically new to me. So, the other thing I want to point out is yesterday we added some new sounds to the Channel Point soundboard. People seem to be enjoying those so far. That's great. But I sort of alluded to the fact yesterday that I had gathered what I believe to be all of the requested sound
She's even
effects
stronger than my mom.
from AI The Somnium Files 2 Nirvana initiative. And you may have noticed that that doesn't, the ones that I added don't cover every requested soundbite. That's because I've added a new extension to the stream. If you're on mobile, there should be like a weird little speech box with a blob wearing headphones icon around the chat box. If you want to take a look at it. If you're on desktop, it should just be below the stream. This is my understanding of its placement. It's sort of a test that we're doing. I'm calling it the swear jar. I've put some of the raunchier quotes that I don't feel like I want for general channel point use into the swear jar system. It works similarly to the existing ones, except in order to play these sound effects, you spend bits. Now, no one has to use it. No one has to, care about it at all. It is an option that exists. We're gonna run it for a little while, see if anyone likes it. If not, we may reevaluate or we may shut it off or whatever. I mean, it should be there. I was like checking it. I checked it both on mobile and on my computer. Like it should be there. It's probably not in mod view. Would be my guess. But it should be there. I've done a lot of testing. It should be there.
Squeak, squeak.
But yeah, again, no one has to do it. It's a thing. Basically, my thought is like, because it's not something I want for general use, it's like saying a swear on a family car trip. You gotta put some money in the swear jar in order to excuse having said the thing, more or less. So the option exists. You could try it. We'll see if anyone uses it. I don't really know what using it is like, because I don't want to pay myself money to test it. That felt confusing. I already have a lot of moving parts going on. I added the fanfare visual effect yesterday. In addition to that, I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And on that note, the last thing before we get started, or really before I get caught up on chat and then we get started, is if you have suggestions for other things that you feel like would contribute to the stream.
Me gustan las tetas grandes.
There we go. Wow, there's our first cute. Does it? There we go. Alcadius. I shouldn't be surprised that Alcadius is the first team. Me gustan las tetas grandes. Well, thank you, Alcadius. I hope that you enjoy it. There's some good stuff on there. There's at least one more that I want to add that I might take the time to acquire sometime this week. We'll see how my life goes. But yeah, it's just a new thing. We're trying it out. I'm just adding stuff to the stream. And to that effect, if you have suggestions on other stuff, I will certainly hear you out and see if it's something that I can do. Oh, look at that. So that's the new fanfare animation that I rigged up pretty much all by myself. And the reason I did that, which I didn't really explain yesterday, is because I found that I was frequently having an issue where I was missing the redemption on this, and I figured to myself that, like, I should come up with, like, a sound effect that will notify me to check the status of this, so that I can more easily update the VIPs when people make that redemption. And then I figured to myself, no, you know what? I could do better. I will make a whole animation. I think it's fun. I thought you'd be a fan of them, Neko. I like the. It is kind. I guess it is a little Monty Python-esque. Thinking about it. Yeah. Let's go. Let's catch up on chat a little bit. There's a lot going on, and I had a lot to say. Oh, I'm sorry you're having vaccine booster side effects. Those can hit pretty hard. I haven't heard a lot of reports on the latest one yet because it's still relatively new. So I don't know a ton of people who've been able to get it yet, but I'm sorry that it's hitting you hard. I don't know if that's like abnormal or if everyone's gonna deal with that. Okay, it says, now being an adult with an income, I have the ability to make bad choices. Yes, I own a lot of magic cards. That's my version of that. I think about a year ago, I spent like $300 on one magic card because it looks really nice. I just did that for myself because I can. I don't do it a lot, because I don't do a lot of things for myself, but sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. Let's see. And it's a, yeah, me too, Kaniza. Yeah, samesies. Katie says... Oh, sure, yeah, that's, yeah, I don't mind having a chat discussion about that, Alcadius. I'm gonna say that for the purposes of my own branding, like, the stuff I've acquired for myself, I'm not, like, necessarily keen to share outright, but if we want to discuss, like, other things that might be good for your channel, like, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, I agree with Neko. I think it comes best organically, either, like, from the stuff that you're playing on your stream, or from, like, things that your stream has in common. Like, if there's a show you all watch, or, like, a reference from, like, a movie or something like that, if you can get that audio, like, that's probably, that type of stuff is good. Hey, what, remind me on the Discord, I'll have the card ready to show next week. It would take me a minute to get it. It's not probably interesting to everyone, but I'll show off the card. To look at it, you probably would be like, that's probably not worth $300, but, like, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's everything, I think. Let's go ahead and get started playing Das Game. Lamplight City. So, yeah, again, I'm playing this blind, so I don't know a ton about it. There's a chance that it's spooky eldritch horror. There's a chance that it's spooky psychological thriller. There's a chance that it's just a terrible game. At the very least, it's working. Also, like, give me a heads up if you feel like stuff's loud. I tried to adjust the audio settings, but the stuff that's, like, in the menu doesn't, like, I feel like this isn't reflective of the sound effects volume I selected, but, like, we'll work it out. We'll try. I almost just immediately clicked quit game, which would have been both embarrassing and annoying. So let's make a new game. Loud carriage. See, that seems loud. I turned the voice... No, I left the voice up loud. That's my bad. We're probably gonna adjust that if we ever get control of the options menu again. But it could be loud for a second. I apologize. Well, let's see. I don't think that we've created that that law yet that says that you can't shout fire in a crowded theater, like that's a bad thing. So if we're trying to get someone's attention, I think yelling about fire's good. Fire's really scary back then.
Bill, wake up! The carriage is on fire!
That's only funny when I do it to you.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
And that
Too
is
much
loud.
Bollingworth ale is all. That stuff really creeps up on you.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I was long overdue for a quiet night in with Addie.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Hell, maybe Adelaide.
Hold on just one second. I'm gonna turn this down until I get control, because, like, that's just a lot, huh? Let's turn it down to -3, see how that works.
Can even join us. It's
Wow,
been
that
ages
is not
since
a
you
lot
last
different.
drank me under the table.
We're gonna turn it down a lot. That is just... It would have been nice if it... This is a pet peeve of mine, because, as I've talked about quite frequently, getting the audio settings correct while streaming a video game is a horrible experience, because very few games do it correctly. To their credit, both AI Somnium Files games, very good at this. They provide every tool I want to test this correctly. The main menu has, like, ambient sound that sounds like it's the volume that talking is going to be at, and it's sure a lot quieter than this. You think it's fine? I'm still going to turn it down a little bit. It looks real hot in OBS. And it sounds loud to me also.
I'm afraid she mostly sticks to tea these days.
That looks a little
Miles,
better.
what exactly is it we're looking into? I may have dozed off during the briefing.
Gotta love that. Also, I just love, like, this is, like, another minor point, but, like, it's annoying as a streamer, is, like, being put into the game and then, like, finding out what, like, the actual volume's gonna be like, and then not having the ability to change it for, like, several minutes. Like, that brings me great anxiety, because I would like for it to not sound like radioactive trash. But hello to people joining. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Miss Toasty. Hope you're doing well. We're just starting, and I'm mostly complaining about streamer things. Hashtag streamer problems. So don't worry too much about it. I mean, I feel like I get the impression from the exchange so far that I should know that he slept through the briefings, that this is like a normal thing. So I'm gonna go with the other option. Someday someone might notice, and it might be bad.
Honestly, Bill, one of these days Snelling's gonna notice.
No, he won't. Why do you think they put him behind a desk? The man couldn't find his own backside with a pair of pliers and a lantern.
What are
Very
the pliers
funny.
doing in that scenario?
Anyway, it's a burglary at the Hambrook Flower Shop.
A burglary, eh? How dull. At least we'll have enough time to get a drink afterwards.
You seem awfully certain of that.
I am. In fact, I'd bet the devil my head that we're done within the hour.
That doesn't sound like a
Well,
great
the devil's
wager.
gonna be disappointed that his winnings are so meager.
Skull joke? Yeah, I think that qualifies as a skull joke.
Ah, we've arrived. After you, Bill.
I look forward to being able to turn down the volume. The city of New Britannia! Borough of Cholmondeley. Cholmondeley Industries. I don't know. What does that say on the wooden plank there? HCO?
Thank you. Keep the change.
You didn't pay me. Oh, there it is. Well, that was feisty.
And so, our night of excitement begins.
You, more than anyone else, should know that there's rarely a dull night in Chumley.
I have a feeling tonight
I
will be the
beg your
exception.
pardon? How is that pronounced?
Until we get to the pub, that is.
Keep your mind on the case, Bill. Now let's get a move on.
Was that pronounced as Chumley? Like the character from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX? There are like way too many letters for that to be true. Alright, I got the settings back, everyone. I'm excited about this. Let's turn it down like 25-ish%, and then I'm gonna fix OBS. Back to the default setting, if you will let me, please. Oh, you're not cooperating. I love that. I love to see not cooperate. God bless America. Just, fine. Minus 0.9. Don't go to 1. Bite me. I went into this assuming it was going to be like this. It doesn't make me less annoyed. Thank you, Angel of Iron, for gifting 3 months of Tier 1 sub to Crit Twitch. Much appreciated. Thank you kindly. Actually, I'll give you a choice. We'll play around with this for a while. Angel, would you prefer fanfare or confetti? Because now I got 2 whole animations I can do. And yeah, Crit Twitch. These are also the types of conversations that we have on my sister's streams. She's in UX design and wrote a book about it and streams on Sunday mornings. She's a lot more eloquent about it. I have like a very specific experience.
Talking about wieners.
Thank you, Demolition. I'm really interested to see what people's level of interest fanfare. You got it, friend. Angel of Iron?
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of things happening. Is the stream too complicated or the right amount of complicated? You did prove that you found it. That's
I'm
fair.
making him horny.
Wait, why does that one have a visual alert? Hang on, I'm gonna tweak that. I thought I turned all them off. So I'm running so many things. Listen, I got like 1,000 tabs open just for streaming now. This one. Why do you manage proper? Don't use overlay. No overlay.
Yeah,
This-
let's get groping.
This was a real hassle. Now we're just stress testing the system. This is fine. We'll do this all day. Dude, I promise you I saved like 3 times that I didn't want the visual overlay for like every single alert, and it just kept defaulting them back to nothing. Let me check these. So, that says no overlay. This is fixed.
Big titty.
That's fine. Delish is just having fun. I'm not sure if he's trying to help. He is helping. But he's also just having fun. Okay, I think they're all fixed now. I'm glad we learned that early. It's really, like, that default overlay, that's some serious stuff. Are we ever gonna play the game? Unclear. Hello, Cat. Welcome to the stream.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, you know, I'm glad. Yeah, that's all of them. We've done it. We've proved the system works. Nico says, I can't believe you added a mama quote. Here's the thing. I mean, sometimes you're just talking about wieners. Sometimes it's just sausages, you know? How's everybody doing? We having fun? Let's maybe play the game and see if it's still extremely loud. That's him. That's me. I think. Oh, that's funny. I like that. So like I'm here. I think this character is me. Is the player character? And if I move the mouse ever so slightly to the left.
Were you actually going to do anything for them?
If you move the mouse a little bit to the left, you see homeless person. Am I homeless person?
Poor
I don't
fellow.
know.
Looks like the streets are his bed tonight.
Better than jail, I suppose.
Wow,
He'd at
that's
least get
still
fed
loud.
in jail.
True enough.
Still like really loud. Do. How about like 50%? And then can I look at the HMS Ligeia? Ligeia?
Can't believe that thing made it all the way across the Atlantic in less than a week.
That's
Don't
still like
scoff at
pretty
the future,
loud.
Miles. Pretty
My
soon,
God.
we'll all be riding those things to work.
I'm gonna
Especially
turn it.
considering Prince Harold is their big celebrity passenger.
I'm gonna turn it down like a little bit more. Yeah, I've absorbed like no information. This is chaos. We're here for chaos, right? It's time for chaos. Let's talk to our friend Bill.
Could I have a word?
What's on your mind, Fordham?
That looks that looks a lot more like what I want it to be at, and it's like 25 to 30% volume. Can someone pronounce this word again? It's like Chalman delay, and they're like, you know, Chalmley.
You ever miss living out here, Bill?
About as much as you missed stepping in that pile of horseshit last week.
I was distracted by that story you were telling me about your sister. How's she doing out west, anyway?
Well, she's not in the chum, so fantastic. Living here was about as fun as wearing a vest made of meat to a dogfight. I'm glad we both managed to get out. Oh, and by the way, Miles, you didn't do such a great job of cleaning your shoes.
That would explain all the funny looks I've been getting.
Man, I got a funny story about that I probably shouldn't tell on stream. Kat asks, do you need a subscription to see all of the sound options? No, but since I think you weren't here when I gave the explanation a minute ago, and I did have the intention... By the way, there's more chaos. I think I need to move my webcam. I'm like over half the text. I really didn't think that was going to happen. Let's unlock me, and let's move me like... no, wait. There we go. Let's move me like down... Do we just want the corner? How about the corner? The corner's probably fine, right? The quote-unquote adult options require you to use bits to activate them. But all of the sound options that existed previously, all still available for channel points, and I will continue to add ones for use via channel points as long as they are, you know, PG-13-ish. If you're looking to use bits on those, you can scroll down if you're on desktop, where you can look. I think you look above chat for like a weird floating button on mobile. It's a little different at everything. It's cool. Yeah. Anyway, so we stepped in some poo, and yeah, honestly, I still haven't absorbed anything about the game. We're just learning about our characters. They have a cheeky relationship. So we should thank you for the 395 bits. Much appreciated. Let me ask Bill about Bill. It's probably his favorite subject.
Still feeling rough, Bill?
Yes, but I'll feel better once his case is finished and we can go down to the Angel for a pint or four.
Hair of the dog?
No better medicine.
Let's talk more about his drinking problem.
When's the last time you took any time off?
That's a good question. What year is this again?
I think we've both been working a bit too much lately. Addie's been wanting to go visit her mother in Dixie. Maybe we can all go.
That sounds nice, but I wouldn't want to be a third wheel on a visit to your in-laws. Unless... Would Adelaide's brother be there by any chance?
You're incorrigible, Bill.
It's
Ooh.
one of my finer qualities.
That's cheeky. Do we have LGBTQ protagonists in this, like, old-timey game? That's fun. Kat says, would you believe that I've never purchased a single bit or subscription in all the years I've been watching things on Twitch? Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, like, everyone has their own, like, comfort level with that stuff, right? Like, there's like, a few, like, mobile-type games that I've played over, like, a long period of time that I've spent, like... I think on every one I've spent money on, I've spent about, like, $10 lifetime or something like that. I spent a lot more on Twitch, because, like, you know, I function on this side of it, and so I know what it's like to get support, so, like, I spend a little more on that. I have more Bill questions.
Got any opinions on the upcoming election?
I'll just be glad when it's all over. Seems like the last few months have been nothing but people giving opinions and telling me what to do without a moment's peace.
I know what you mean. I already saw some kids putting up Atwood posters down my street.
I already drew mustaches in all the ones on my street.
Handlebar?
Yeah, you know me too well.
I always thought of Atwood as more of a Van Dyke type of man myself.
I can see that. Yeah. Well, there's something to do tomorrow.
I still have more Bill questions. I have a lot of questions about Bill. Not really about crime, but mostly about Bill. Unless Bill committed the crime, then I have Bill-related crime questions. Or crime-related Bill questions?
You enjoying this weather? It's a nice evening for it, not too hot. I find a bit of fresh air always helps clear out the mental cobwebs.
It's just too bad the air in the chum is about as fresh as a week-old corpse. At any rate, it'll be winter before you know it. The whole city will be shut down, and we'll be digging bodies out from under the snowbanks.
Always something to look forward to.
Man, that's such a grim reality. I wonder if there's an end to the Bill questions. Let's ask about the crime real briefly, and then get back to our Bill
A
questions.
burglary at a flower shop. Not the most thrilling case we've had, is it?
If I didn't know any better, I'd say Snelling's been giving us the boring cases lately on purpose.
Why would he do something like that?
He's eyeing a promotion to chief of police. He'd sell his own mother's cane if he thought it would help. Plus, there's no secret he doesn't like us.
I can't understand why. I've shown him nothing but respect.
It's because you're too good at what you do. And because you're friends with me.
What's that got to do with anything?
Not everyone is as open-minded as you, Miles. Let's just leave it at that.
I think that more or less confirms that our companion here is LGBTQ, and they're handling it similar to the time period, despite the fact that we're in New Britannia, which I don't think is quite historically accurate. An interesting thing worth noting, you know, we're some sort of investigators, and we're investigating a burglary at a flower shop, which, you know, is a relatively small time, sure, for whatever level of comparison is meaningful there. It reminds me of LA Noire, where you, like, actually through the course of the game get, like, promoted and, like, transferred to different departments. And that, in turn, reminds me of the fact that somewhere along the way, I saw something that suggested that this game allows you to make mistakes and keep playing, which is also something that, like, a relatively limited number of games do, and on that list is LA Noire, which is kind of interesting. Kat says, the entire time I've been subbed to this channel is because other people have gifted. That's also not terribly surprising. I've been quite fortunate to experience the generosity of people like Demolition and Angel of Iron and others who, again, never any pressure to contribute support in that way. Just like being here is cool and awesome. But I do greatly appreciate people in their generosity. I have more Bill questions.
The ferry ride over was surprisingly uneventful, don't you think?
I know. It doesn't really feel like a visit to the Chum without seeing at least one fist fight.
We've only been here a few minutes.
There's always the ride back.
Yeah.
Let's get back to it.
All right.
Demolition, you just... Oh, we ran out of Bill questions. So, like, do you just, like, sit there, like, waiting for me to say something like that with the bits queued up? Alright, let's go in the door and solve a crime. We're probably not gonna solve the crime.
Come on, Bill.
Wow, it sure doesn't look broken into.
Charming
I guess the
little
window
place,
was?
isn't it?
Charming, but empty. We need to find the owner.
Is that what the wood
Always
plank
so to
was?
the point for them. If ever there was a better time to stop and smell the flowers.
I think I'll leave that to you, Bill.
With my allergies, hardly.
Plants hanging on hooks. A nice space-saving method.
I'd probably bang my head against them constantly if I had them in my apartment.
But this isn't an apartment.
Not too many left. Seems business isn't so bad around here.
Well, you know what they say. There are only 3 certainties in life. Death, taxes, and people taking advantage of sales.
I suppose that's true. Do we have one of those cool, like, hotspot keys in this game? What do I think it would be? Tilde? If it exists, I don't know what it is. Do we have, like, a controls? No. We just have save, load, and quit. Hey, let's save. I like that hiss. That's the save technology at work. This guy could stand to chill a bit. Oh, let's ding that service bell. I can ring that bell.
Be right there. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I must say you caught me by surprise. I was preparing to close soon. May I help you find anything? The flowers in the center display are half price this week, and I have a special on chrysanthemums today. Or perhaps a custom bouquet for the special ladies in your lives?
Cue a comment. Cue a comment for Bill.
Myself, but maybe Adelaide would appreciate a little something. Yeah, Miles? Those peonies in the corner look nice.
What did you say to me?
We're not here as customers tonight, ma'am. We'd like to have a word with the proprietor. Is he in?
That's rude.
I see. I'm
That's a rude thing to do.
And this is my shop. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm Detective Miles Fordham, and this is my partner, William Legere. We received a report of a burglary at your store.
A report? From whom? I never contacted the police before, and I didn't this time, either.
It was made anonymously, but are you saying this isn't the first time it's happened?
Correct. It's happened 3 times.
That's
But considering
weird.
the police hardly care about the daily muggings and vandalisms around here, I didn't think they would be interested in something so trivial.
Well, we're here now, and we'll do all we can to help you.
We'll have to see about that.
If you wouldn't mind, Mrs. Sandbrook, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Very well, Detective.
Something about the phrase daily muggings is amusing to me, only in that it sort of suggests like a polite, scheduled nature to the regular muggings of the area. Neko, I'm glad that you managed to save some shortbread biscuits for the stream. I was concerned that you were out, but I am assuaged. Is that even correct use of that word? My brain is like not in it today. By the way, audio level of everyone talking fairly good. We can adjust it more. You're out again. That's fair, but at least you had some. Have you seen that SpongeBob episode where Patrick eats the ice cream and then like accuses SpongeBob of stealing his? All good? Great. Love to hear that. Tell me about burglaries. There's really... It's... Let me actually finish the sentence and not just make noises as though I was reacting to someone say something in an Uchikoshi game. It's a really interesting hook to me that the game starts with us going to a place where we've heard there's a burglary, and we're told, no, there was no burglary. There have been burglaries, but there's no burglary. I don't know why you're here. Like, that's interesting.
Could you give me the details concerning the burglaries?
About 3 weeks ago on Monday, I noticed that my order of Easter lilies was missing. At first, I thought nothing of it. Sometimes certain types of flowers are unavailable or arrive in poor condition. These things happen.
Yeah.
Then 2 weeks ago
Relatable.
on Wednesday, it happened again. But this time, I noticed something rather odd.
There was a corpse?
When I opened the shop, there were 6 crowns and 10 shillings on the counter.
That is a little
That's
weird.
exactly the cost of 2 orders of lilies. Last Friday, it happened yet again. The lilies were missing, and there was payment for 1 order on the counter. I believe that someone has been breaking into my shop after hours, taking the lilies, and leaving money behind.
How unusual.
Oh, look at that. Blue's Clues. Did we just not notice the fact that money was left the first time, or did they only leave money the second and third times? I want to ask about payment, because I had a payment-related question.
So this burglar has been paying for the stolen goods?
That would appear to be the case, yes. I really don't think this could even be considered a crime. That's one of the reasons I didn't bother reporting it
That's
to the
sort of
police.
fair. I see
Any
that.
other reasons?
Oh, I think I've already made those quite clear, Detective.
I believe she did. Echo says, why are you even investigating a good customer ghost? I believe in this, like, alternate, like, alternate Victorian-era England. The police are known to investigate good ghosts to give them a gold star. I think that's how this works. So we're trying to find the good ghosts so they can get recognition. It's kind of like a key to the city. Do they do that in Europe, or is that like an America thing?
Have you noticed any suspicious characters lurking around?
Just the
Detective
werewolves.
Fordham, this is Chumley. You can't throw a stone without hitting
It's
a
the
suspicious
worst word I've
character.
ever seen.
And if you've noticed my window, you'd be aware that stones get thrown around quite a bit in this neighborhood. If you're looking for trouble, you're far more likely to find it out there than in here.
I meant if you'd seen anyone out of the ordinary near your shop.
Only the 2 men from the police who entered it tonight. That is most definitely out of the ordinary.
Arcadia says the most shocking thing so far is the acceptance of gay cops in Victorian Britain. If you read between the lines, it's not accepted. The implication was that the chief of police, like, doesn't like our partner Bill because he's aware that he's gay, but our protagonist character Miles is fine with it because he's, like, progressive. Something like that I could believe exists, especially since they seem like friends outside of work and not just, like, acquaintance partners or whatever. Break-in. Is this, like, a threat? Listen, if you don't tell me about this ghost, I'm gonna break in and take your flowers and leave money, too.
Have you found any evidence of a break-in?
No, the front door is always locked. My assistant Trevor and I are the only ones with the key.
Are there any other points of access to the building?
The upstairs windows, I suppose, but I make sure to keep them locked, and neither of them have been broken.
Would you allow us to have a look upstairs?
Is that really necessary? I was just about to close up the shop.
It won't take but a moment.
Fine, I suppose you may, but please, don't dally too long.
Unfortunately, faffing is part of my creed, so I think we'll be here a minute. I don't know what assistant means in this case. Are we going to hire her as our own assistant?
You mentioned your assistant has the other shop key. What can you tell me about him?
His name is Trevor Hastings, and he has been working for me for the past 10 years.
Do you trust him?
Implicitly. I've known him for ages, and he has been my full-time assistant since shortly after my husband died. You're not suggesting he had anything to do with this, are you?
Not at all. I would like to speak with him, though.
He might
Where
know
might I
stuff
find
about
him?
ghosts.
It's Friday, so he should be on his way back from the docks right now. He'll be bringing my flower order within the hour.
Good. We'll meet him here, then. If that's all right with you.
I suppose I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
You know what? I think she's warming up to us. I think she's on board with the police now.
Have you been in business long?
Yes, I opened this shop 30 years ago, along with my late husband, David. But the past 10 years, I've been running things on my own.
Don't you feel unsafe being here by yourself so late into the night?
Detective, when you've lived in this part of town as long as I have, it takes quite a lot to scare you.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Now I'm just gonna, like, break into your home. Access casebook. Let's take a look at the casebook. Current case. Honor among thieves? So, like, basically it's saying, you know, this is the case. Someone's breaking in but leaving money behind, so, like, what's the deal? And then, like, relevant points of interest. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've gathered so far. Just a point of entry upstairs, maybe. There's an assistant who has, like, a key or whatever. What are these other things? The missing lilies are a clue. Points of entry. No suspects yet. No documents. Alright, the system looks pretty good. Another thing I've heard about this game, that normally I wouldn't have this much information about a game I'm playing blind, but I was like browsing various things just to make sure the game was working as intended and stuff.
Interesting choice of decor in here.
Perhaps it wasn't always used as a storeroom, although I can understand why it would have been converted.
Yeah, it is rather drafty in here.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so, like, this looks very much like a traditional point-and-click game where you would expect to have, like, an inventory and solve puzzles by, like, combining items. And it seems like it's sort of intentionally done in that style, but some people seemed upset about the fact that it seems to be more
Thinking
of
about
a
life's great mysteries again, are you?
like a narrative game played in that framework, and that, like, dialogue options are more the driving force of the game. I'm a little interested to learn more about that. Spider escape, that is definitely a point of
This
entry.
provides a means of escape from the top floor, or access to this window from the ground.
It's like
Interesting. There's a gap between the window and the frame here. No wonder it's so drafty in this room.
you could hypothetically reach something in there and grab the latch. Like, that seems
The
feasible.
window latch, securely locked. I wonder.
What are you thinking, Fordham?
That it's time for an experiment. I'm going to
Science?
need a tool, however. Something long and thin should do the trick.
Shouldn't be too hard to find something like that around here.
Oh my god, so many clues. Look at all my clues. Blue's clues. So, I will need... So, I guess there is, like, an inventory something. It seems like we need to solve that puzzle. Is it... Okay. Is it in a crate? Do I need crate things?
Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
Unmarked.
I'll keep my...
They have the... It's the same thing. But these portraits, they aren't the solution I
A young
seek.
lady. Perhaps a relation of Mrs. Hanbrook?
I can see the resemblance. Sort of.
Let me check that heater.
I would imagine that keeping a consistent temperature in here is important for the flowers.
When do you suppose this contraption was last serviced?
Hard to say. Definitely not recently, if the dust buildup is any indication.
Device.
I've seen this type of device before. It's a special container for growing plants. Specific temperature and water conditions can be adjusted. Seems to be empty right now, though. And judging by the dust, it hasn't been used in a long time, if ever.
It seems Mrs. Handbrook isn't too fond of steam tech, or just doesn't understand it.
Yeah, there's like vague implications that we're sort of in steampunk times. Echo says, also Victorian-era England was pretty lax with gay people outside of London. Nothing went to court, and what did typically got thrown out. That's actually some interesting perspective. I didn't know that. I can imagine that sort of thing being true, but I wouldn't have assumed that, I don't think.
Seems
What the
to be
shelf?
the broken pot storage area.
Why not just throw them away, I wonder?
It's likely they're going to be repaired. I noticed some faint cracks in some of the pots downstairs.
Anything else about the shelf?
Seems to be the broken.
Why not?
It's like
I guess we'll check the large
I
window.
don't think this window would serve as a viable means of entry.
It's a
I
nice
mean,
view,
if it
though.
did, you'd
You
notice.
can hardly see the vomit and manure piles on the street from up here.
I really like how much they hate this place. Like, they really sell me on we're in an awful part of town. Just like every line of dialogue is like, by the way, it sucks here.
Pastoral landscape. Definitely nowhere near here.
I've never much understood art, but it would be nice to see a place like that in person.
Where am I gonna find the thing to do my experiment? Does the casebook provide... I mean, it indicates that it is a thing I need to look into. It doesn't hint as to where I might find it. I'm guessing it's not in this room, because I think I've checked everything here. Maybe I can ask her about it. I like that he goes to his corner so he can exist in one place and not have to be
I have a
rendered.
few more questions for you, Mrs. Hambrook.
Very well, Detective. If it will help you conclude your investigation faster.
Feasibly it would. Upstairs window.
Mrs. Hambrook, were you aware that there's a gap in the frame of the small upstairs window?
Is there? I only go up there to check that the window is locked. I've never noticed a gap.
It's like
Are
pretty
you
obvious.
suggesting that's how the burglar is entering the store?
I mean, it's a
It's a
possibility.
distinct possibility, but I have yet to figure out exactly how.
Well, I trust you'll come to a satisfactory conclusion, Detective.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
That wasn't really... That was like a rhetorical question.
These seem to be part of the watering system for the flowers.
I haven't seen old piping like this in a while. Seems like someone's reluctant to upgrade.
Fine. Am I supposed to take, like, the wire this is hanging on to try the thing?
Ah, this hook is exactly what I
Yeah, I
need.
actually figured it out.
Mrs. Hambrook, may I borrow this hook for a few minutes? It's crucial to our investigation.
Is that so?
Yes, I promise I'll put it back as soon as I'm done.
Please do, Detective.
I'm lying. I'm keeping the hook. Alright, let's go upstairs. So do I have an inventory, or is it just gonna, like, do this
The
now?
window latch, securely locked. Good. Bill, it's time for our experiment.
And what is this experiment going to be exactly?
Simple. I'm going to see if this hook can get me inside the shop.
It is, so she fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. That's good. That's good stuff.
Rather dark out here.
Watch your step, then. This experiment of yours isn't worth a broken neck.
I'll be fine. Now then, could you please close and lock the window, Bill?
Just shoves us. I have control of this? Oh, I do. Hey, look at me. Hey, look what I can do. Whoop, 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 whoop. I did it!
Well, I'd say this is fairly incontrovertible proof that the building can easily be broken into without arousing suspicion.
Where'd you learn how to do that, anyway?
You taught me, remember?
Nah. Are you sure it was me?
Positive. We were a few pints in at the Angel about 5 years ago, and you decided I should learn how to pick locks.
What else have I taught you how to do while drunk?
That would be telling.
Would it? I mean, he told us. Is that telling? Doot indeed.
Ah, Trevor.
Evening,
For some reason, I
Cecilia.
thought Trevor
I've
was
got
younger.
the order ready to bring in.
Trevor, these are Detectives Fordham and Leger. They say there's been a report about the burglaries, and they're here investigating.
It's heavily implied air quotes.
I only did it because I think it's been going on too long.
Ah,
As much
answers.
as you want to, we can't handle this ourselves.
We can discuss the matter later. In the meantime, the detective would like a word with you.
I'll be needing to bring in the flowers first, if that's all right. Otherwise, some hooligan's likely to run off with them.
My partner will keep an eye on your flowers. Bill, would you mind?
What is allergies?
The glamour of police work.
Micah says, I think the pirate ghost has good taste for
Now, Mr.
buying
Hastings,
lilies.
If I could ask you a few questions?
Go on, then.
I guess if it was a pirate ghost, it wouldn't need to find its own hook somewhere, right? That's a good shout. Let's see. I mean,
What can you
burglaries.
tell me about the recent burglaries?
I wish Cecilia had contacted you a lot sooner. She's a damn fine woman. But sometimes I think she'd rather jump in a rose bush than ask for help. Had to take matters into my own hands. This needs
Moan.
taken care of. but
Moan
we can't
hands.
do it on our own, as much as Cecilia would like to. Anyhow, alls I know is someone's been making off with some flowers and leaving money behind. No idea who it could be, how they're getting in, or why they even bother paying. In my day, if you robbed a place, you did it the right way. It's a sad state of
wait.
affairs when even
Is that
burglars
your
don't do
objection?
their jobs correctly.
Wait,
Do you have much experience with burglary, Mr. Hastings?
hang on.
Now, I never said that, detective.
Have you noticed anyone or anything suspicious around here recently?
Nothing but the usual roughnecks, ragamuffins, and drunkards. Like I said, it's a real mystery.
Is the reason that you called the police that you're upset that the criminal's not doing it right? Because, like, I definitely understand being upset about it, because, like, maybe she's ordering those lilies for a particular customer and then she doesn't have them when she needs them. Like, it's not exactly a victimless crime, even though, like, paying for the lilies does sort of compensate for it. Like, at least she can spend that money to get more lilies. But, like, the way he just answered that was just like, yeah, like, it really sucks that criminals don't just steal stuff. Like, why would you leave money? What a rube. I need you to put an end to this. Hey, Mr. Generic Name, welcome to the stream. I've added a bunch of random nonsense. A lot of it is sound related. But also, I made this. Why is it flashing? I feel like I need to look into something. Shouldn't be doing that. That's fine, I think. Lilies are for the dead too, aren't they? I think that's true. I don't know a lot about flowers, but I think that's true, Sarah. There's probably a ghost involved, though. Probably.
Could you walk me through the process of your deliveries?
Of course, there's no great science to it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, Cecilia gives me her list of flowers to pick up from the wholesalers. I head over to Gascon around sunset when they get their shipment, and I give them her order. They load up the crate, I pay for it, and then I lug it back here.
How long does that take?
Between moving the crate and getting it across the river on the ferry, a couple of hours. Usually the store's closed by then, so I use my key to get in and leave the crate inside for Cecilia to open in the morning. That's all there is to it. Told you it wasn't very complicated.
Do you ever leave the crate unattended during that time?
No, sir. Never more than a minute. I may be old, but I got good eyes. I'd see if there were anything amiss. Besides that, I check to make sure the crate is still sealed when I drop it off. I'm not about to let Cecilia down by being careless.
There's something interesting about the writing for the dialogue of this character. It feels like maybe they expected this character to be something more like Cockney or something. I'm not quite sure. But, like, there's a couple of, like, weird contractions he uses that don't seem like they match the character being portrayed by the voice actor. Like, McKee. This guy doesn't sound or seem like he would use the word McKee.
How long have you been working for Mrs. Hanbrook?
Been about 10 years now, I reckon. I used to help with deliveries now and then when it was her and David, her husband. But after he passed, she offered to make me her assistant. Unfortunate way to get it, but I needed the work. Used to be I had a job at one of the airship yards, but they let me go after I was injured by one of those newfangled steam machines. So the offer came at a good time. Besides that, Cecilia needed looking after, even though she'd never admit it. If I'm being honest, we're both getting a bit long in the tooth. Not sure how much longer we'll be keeping this up, but as long as I'm upright and breathing, I'll be bringing these crates along, even if it is murder on my back.
I admire your work ethic.
I've got a job to do.
That time you
Not
couldn't
enough
even,
people
like,
these
say
days
the
seem
M
to
apostrophe
respect
thing.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Hastings. I'll let you get back to work.
that. Appreciate it, Detective. If you don't mind, Detective, I still need to check the crate before I bring it in.
Of course. Thank you again for your help.
I mean, we learned essentially nothing.
Learn anything?
Possibly. I may have an idea.
Ah, you're being cryptic. That's always a good sign. But if you've got a plan, let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Got a minute,
Bill?
Bill?
For you, Miles, I've got 5.
Oh, such good friends. Nicholas says, all parts of the true lilies are edibles, and their bulbs are supposed to be quite nutritious. That is a fun fact. Have you ever eaten lilies? Have you ever tested this, or is this a hypothetical knowledge?
I've heard of honor among thieves, but have you ever known a thief to pay for stolen goods?
Perhaps conducting normal business is just too boring for him. Do you think he might be doing it for the thrill?
There could be any number of reasons. The best way to find out is to catch the culprit and ask him ourselves.
I mean, that assumes that they'll do it again. We don't have any particular reason to think that they won't, but, like, not only would they need to break into the shop again in order for that to be a relevant plan, but, like, also we'd need to either know when they were doing it or, like, stake the place out, like, indefinitely. I don't know which option is good.
What's your impression of dear old Mrs. Hanbrook?
I like her. Good old-fashioned, tough-as-nails Chumley woman. Reminds me of my mother.
Your mother was never quite so stubborn. Why do you suppose she's so reluctant to accept our help?
It's a chum thing, Miles. You wouldn't understand.
Really, I object to that word being pronounced as, like, Chomley. The assistant.
Any thoughts on Mrs. Hanbrook's assistant, Trevor?
Yes. I feel sorry for him.
Why? He seems to enjoy his work.
Nah, it's not that. He's obviously smitten with Mrs. Hanbrook, but she won't give him the time of day.
What? You only saw him for a few moments. How in the ether did you get that impression?
The way he looked at her, the way he spoke when he confessed to contacting the police. Shall I go on?
No, that's fine. I see what you mean.
Really, Miles? You'd be surprised what you can learn from people if you just look at them.
Why bother doing that when I've got you to do it for me?
Guess we are going to stake the place out. I mean, that's one way to do it. Nicholas says these detective guys look too similar. I don't disagree. Like, without spending some time to get used to it, like definitely a similar vibe.
Right. Based on what we've been told in our experiment, I can only conclude that our burglar is using the upstairs window to get into the shop.
So, what do you propose we do about it?
It's happened repeatedly over the past 3 weeks, on one of the delivery nights. Since it has yet to occur this week, and today is Friday, logic dictates it should be tonight.
So we settle in and wait to see if the burglar returns? Catch him in the act?
Exactly. It's our best chance of solving this before the trail goes cold.
I was really looking forward to getting that drink at the Angel tonight, too.
I know, but it's as you said yourself. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Besides, forbearance is good for the soul.
Spoken like someone who truly has no idea how to have any fun.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of it one of these days, especially with your expert tutelage.
Okay, let's go have a chat with Mrs. Hanbrook. I'm sure she'll be delighted to know we're spending the night.
Yeah, I think she'll be thrilled, frankly.
Damn, I forgot to bring my deck of cards again.
But that
At
really
least it's
helped.
quiet up here. I'm surprised we didn't go deaf after the last time we did this.
What?
I said... Oh, right. Your sense of humor remains on point.
Miles, have you ever considered leaving all this behind?
What, you mean quitting the force?
The force, the city, going off and seeing what else is out there, you know?
I'd miss it too much. Wouldn't you?
I was thinking I might visit Harley out west. She makes it sound like a dream in her letters. Wide open spaces, fresh air. I know I'm a city boy and would probably miss New Britannia's filth and squalor after a week, but
You should do it. A change of scenery never hurt anyone. Plus, it's much easier for you than it is for me. I've got a family to consider, after all.
Ah, right.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that, Bill. It's just...
Shh. I think I heard something.
Is it a ghost? A ghost?
Oh, no.
Bill? Stop! Police!
Damn it.
That was
He's got
conveniently
up the fire
timed.
escape. We can corner him on the roof. Stay close and keep me covered.
That sounds bad. Oh, he dropped his hat. Can I take it? Nope, the hat is gone. Is that important? Is it relevant that his hat is gone? Wait, it really is L.A. Noire. His hat fell off immediately.
Stay back, officer. Got a knife.
Oh,
Ready your
this-
pistol for him.
But you're too close!
I trust you, Miles. Your pistol, now!
Wow, this went south so fast.
There's really no need for this, officer. I respect your desire to uphold justice. Mine is more important. If you let me go, I won't come back. And we can all forget this ever happened.
Don't listen to this lunatic, Miles. Take your shot before things get worse.
Can I? Okay. I wonder if there's a time limit on this. Agus says, remember to observe subtle and nuanced facial expressions to determine if a subject is lying to you. I don't know if you were lurking before Haggis, but even before we got to this point where his hat immediately fell off when the action scene started, I was remarking that, from what I could tell, this game actually does have kind of a number of similarities to L.A. Noire that other games would not. Just shoot him. But he's a gentleman ghost, right? Like... I feel like we should not shoot him and find out what his deal is. Have we played that on stream? Do you mean L.A. Noire? We have not played L.A. Noire on stream. Other than that, like, one time that we got the professor to do it. You know, that's a good point. If we do shoot the ghost, the bullet won't hurt him. But then is there a point in shooting him? We definitely might also shoot Bill. Like, this is the consequence that we're actually weighing. I feel like it's a little early in the game for me to be responsible for killing Bill, which on the one hand suggests that I should be able to shoot and not kill Bill, but maybe not. Maybe this game is like real hardcore and like 5 minutes into the game you can kill off your companion. Deco does raise a really interesting point. That if we did end up shooting Bill, he would either, you know, be replaced or just gone, and then we wouldn't have to tell the protagonists apart. Oh, Later Gator. No, I haven't heard of Later Gator. This sounds like a thing I would like, because it sounds cute and filled with animal puns, perhaps. Gosh, I don't know. I feel like it's a little early for such an intense decision, so I'm not sure how I feel about doing it. I think my gut says to reason with the burglar because it seems like they are a person who can be reasoned with. So, like, I'm gonna try that.
Look, we've caught you red-handed. Put down the knife, let my partner go, and give yourself up.
No! I'm not going to jail. Do you know what they do to people in there?
Yes, I do. If you cooperate, I'll see if I can get the judge to ease your sentence.
I appreciate your tactics, Fordham, but this really isn't the time.
Come on, all you've really done is taken some flowers. You're not a killer. Don't make things worse for yourself.
You don't know anything about me. But one thing's for sure. I'm not going to jail. So let me go free, or else your partner is going over the side.
Fordham, this madman clearly can't be reasoned with. Take your shot, now!
Yeah, at this point, I think I'm actually inclined to let him go. Ooh, I don't... I mean, at this point, I feel like he's positioned himself that, like, it is now probably correct to shoot him. It's, like, less of a gray area, and, like, he's, like, threatening to do lethal violence against an innocent person. I feel like letting him go now is probably the wrong thing to do. I'm gonna shoot him.
No!
Well, that didn't go the way I hoped it would.
Oh, God. I am so sorry, my friend. I am so sorry.
I still feel like that was the right thing to do based on the information I had. but it kind of feels like maybe he dies either way. Kind of feels like he dies either way. Because I feel like if I let him go, like, he probably just would have shoved the guy off or something.
Miles, wake up! Your house is on fire!
Huh? What?
You see, I told you it was funnier when I did it to you.
Yes. Yes. Hilarious.
What's
It
the matter?
is
Have a rough
spooky.
night?
Overdid it on the soporific. Why do I feel like I've had this conversation before?
I'm just glad you're in the mood to converse again. Seriously, you took so much of that snake oil last night, I was starting to think you wanted me quiet for good.
For a second, I was gonna be like, I wonder why he's willing to talk to us since we got him killed. But we did do what he told us to do, so I guess if he's being reasonable, the ghost of Bill should realize that, you know, he can't be mad because he told us to do it, right? The ghost says the ghost deserved to die for paying for those flowers. You're right. According to Trevor, the assistant of the flower shop, criminal is most despicable when they don't do crime correctly. I think that was the correct takeaway, right? Anyway, I definitely, especially like going into this scene this way, I feel like no matter what we do, Bill dies. Probably. It feels weird that, I don't know. I can't quite articulate it. There's something weird about, like, that was such an incredibly low stakes case that escalated so profoundly, so fast. Yeah, it's basically a Noire game at this point, right? What's the loud device? I don't know which of these options I like better. I do want you quiet for a bill, or I need a break every now and then. I feel like I would be more inclined to say the break. But I will say that when he was alive, Bill had a tendency to have zero chill. And, like, if I stayed still for a second, he would, like, just make a comment. And that's, like, not, like, a necessary energy, to be honest. But I think, frankly, I'm a little too polite to say that directly to him, probably.
It's no personal slight. I just need some quiet time, or I'll go insane.
I get it. We all need our space. I know it's not easy, but there's really no need.
Not easy. Bill, I've been hearing your voice since you died. You don't shut up unless I take that accursed medicine. I'd say that qualifies as a bit more than not easy.
Yeah, well, how do you think I feel? You think I enjoy being trapped here, listening to you whine about how hard your life's become?
The ghost is, like, in his head?
Yours.
The files are in the computer? I figured he was just, like, a ghost haunting us because we were friends or something. I personally have a friend who's requested that if I die before him and learn that there is some ability to influence the mortal plane of existence while he's still alive, that I should attempt to haunt him to let him know that. Like a very specific direct request to do that. And I intend to uphold it, if possible. Nego, I don't understand that reference. Randall and Hopkirk? But I'm just gonna say yes. Probably. I feel like the question feels a little more appropriate. Are you able to explain to me why you can't go on?
If you're just as miserable, why don't you just go away and leave me in peace?
Believe me, I wish I knew how. But the bottom fact is, you're stuck with me. So you can either keep living this way and ruin your life even more than you already have, or you can do as I've told you and try to figure out a way to let me move on.
This feels very similar to... what is that game called? There's an adventure game. I think it's done by the same people who did Unavowed. It's like the Blackwell Chronicles or something. Something like that. Where, like, you play as... like, I think you play as, like, a female protagonist who's, like, kind of like a descendant of spirit mediums. Or, like, people who, like...
Big titty.
who have like enough like spiritual connection that they can perceive ghosts, and then like when her relative dies, this ghost sort of like passes on to her, by which like she's just like spiritually attuned enough to see him, and then he like goes and finds her and he's like, oh cool, like another person can see me. That's so helpful. Chat's going off about this. Multiple requests that I haunt them, and Angel says, I will be sure to leave out milk and cookies. I appreciate that. I'm a big fan of cookies. Also, thank you, Haggis, for the bits and the soundboard. I'll make note of this briefly. I think that there may be certain games for which I will turn off the adult soundboard options. For stuff like this that I don't really care about, like, we'll just leave it on. It's fun if people want to do it. I think for now I'm going to leave it off for 999 because I want like a little more control over what that experience is like. But I don't know. Again, experimental. I wasn't sure if people would be interested in using it. But it seems like people are liking it more than I expected, so there's that. What kind of ice cream should I leave out? I mean, you know, there's a lot of good ice cream. My favorite tends to be cake-flavored ice cream because I tend to like cake-flavored everything because it's kind of just like vanilla and sugar and sprinkles flavored. I think his last answer was that we should just help him determine a way to move on. By the way, I think this is his hat, right? Up here on this hat box. I think this is the hat that he dropped that he was wearing. I think this is Bill's hat. Yeah, it's not the most common choice. Like, if I'm relegated to like pretty basic choices, I tend to like cookies and cream. I like vanilla a lot, and you know, cookies and cream is like a close equivalent. It's like not, it's vanilla adjacent, but like also you get cookie bits in it, and cookie bits are great. It's my favorite ice cream brand. You know, I'm not sure that I know that. I've tried various ones over time. There was a while where I was like buying ice cream for myself a couple of years ago. I don't keep a lot of it stocked because I'll go through too much of it. But I think I just liked the grocery store brand more than a lot of the ones I had tried. It could be our hat, but it's like bowler style, which he wore, and it has the red band on it, which is a little hard to tell on the stream. Because it kind of just looks black, but like it is there. I think that's Bill's hat. I think. Let's find that burglar.
Right. For the 1000th time, you want me to find the burglar from the flower shop.
Yes, exactly.
I still don't get how that's going to help.
I can understand your confusion, considering it was you who killed me.
Cool.
The point remains. You wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if not for him. Once the criminal has been caught and is in custody, we'll both get what we want.
I mean, I don't think it's fair of you to blame me for that because you requested I did it. I'm not saying it wasn't a mistake and that I didn't have some agency in it, but you also told me to do it, and that was the outcome of the thing that you had requested for me to do. So you don't really get to be mad about that, is my opinion on such things. However, again, like we're only a few minutes of actual gameplay past it, but I'm pretty convinced that whatever we do, he dies. Probably. Yeah, see, this is the problem. We talk about ice cream, you want ice cream. I would love a decent night's sleep. I had a weird nightmare a couple of nights ago. I think it was like Thursday night. That like I went to go visit Tech, and then like while I was over there, like everyone in the world stopped being able to sleep all at once, and then there was chaos, and then when we tried to go out into the world, like everything was just on fire because the world had gone to crap because no one could sleep anymore. It was a bad time.
A decent night's sleep?
More than that, you'll have that elusive thing you always wanted to give others. Closure.
You do realize the trail's pretty much frozen at this point. Our man has seemingly vanished into the ether.
That's no excuse not to keep trying. I know the cases Upton's been giving you these past few months haven't been the most thrilling, but they've at least kept you active. So just keep at it. Something has to turn up eventually. Unless, of course, you want to wind up in Riverview Asylum. And if that happens, I'm really not going to keep quiet.
Fine.
Good man. Now, I suggest you stop talking to thin air, or Adelaide's gonna start wondering if you've gone mental. Or just maybe, she'll stop wondering.
Very funny.
There's a surprising number of not British accents. So I was late to update the stream title, but it should be updated. I don't know why it wouldn't be. I like literally saved this. I'm just gonna do the dirty version of this and not come up with a clever thing or update the description. I mean, it says the category is right, so why did it save that? It saved literally everything except the title change. That's extremely confusing. That's less on me. Like I goofed. I didn't remember to do it before going live. But, like, Twitch goofed up harder because I told it what to do and it didn't correct it.
That's a fun little
Gyroscope.
apparatus Adelaide got you. Very soothing.
Watching it spin long enough puts me right to sleep.
I'd say that's really more the soporific's doing.
Can I change outfits? Can I, like, customize my character
Well,
appearance?
wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles? You've been wearing that coat for who knows how long.
So? Addie gave it to me. Besides, it gives me character.
Right. Brooding detective in a long black coat. That's never been seen before.
What are you talking about, Bill?
Never mind.
You know, at a glance, this is not a flattering portrait, but I'm just gonna chalk that up to, like, pixel art.
I always like that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room.
Alright, hold on. I think I have to move again. So, this is me, right? Yeah, that's me. Let me move up above the black box so that I'm not blocking the top or the bottom text. There are multiple places the text might appear. This is just a troubleshooting stream is what this is. Let me check out my enormous bed.
Don't worry, Miles. I don't watch when you and Adelaide are having your private time.
It would be nice if you didn't spend the whole time humming.
I thought you appreciated some romantic music. I always like
Dressing
it's admirable
table.
just how organized Adelaide is. Maybe someday the same can be said about you.
You know, I guess if we're not looking for inventory items, we don't need to, like, look at all the stuff. That's probably true.
Well,
Is that our beautiful
look who's
wife?
awake. Ready to rejoin the living?
Very much so.
Skull joke.
You were talking in your sleep again.
I
Did I
bet.
say anything interesting?
Do you ever?
You have to admit, she's got you there.
How
Such
are you
good
feeling?
friends.
A touch groggy. I think I took a bit too much of the soporific last night.
That's what I thought. When you went for your after-lunch nap, you'd barely gotten breakfast down. I saved you some bread and cheese if you're hungry.
Thank you, but I haven't got much of an appetite.
You really should regulate your doses more carefully, love. I'm sure dull senses and an empty stomach aren't much help to your work. By the way, a message arrived via courier for you this morning. I put it on the table along with today's newspaper.
Thank you, dear.
Sick. I really like to imagine that this lamp here, this isn't like foreground perspective. I want to imagine that this is like actually like 7 feet tall. It's just like an enormous lamp that we just like casually have in our home and we don't talk about. I think this is the message. Fordham, a big case has come in which I think will interest you. Meet me at the Roven Coffee House for more details. It looks more like an O than an A, but I assume that's the Raven Coffee House. Signed, C. Upton.
Upton says she's got a big case for me.
Does she go into any more detail than that?
No, but then you know Upton. Always on a need-to-know basis. Especially since she's been giving me these cases under the table.
To be fair, they haven't exactly been anything of note.
True, but she's still sticking her neck out for me. I can understand why she's so secretive about it.
I think she just misses having you around the station.
Poor Connie. With you quitting and me dying, she must be bored stiff at work.
Anyway, I'm supposed to meet her at the Ruin Coffee House. That can't be right.
Oh, it was
It's
an
not
O,
like
but it was
Constance
also a
to make
U.
Mistakes. She must have gotten in somehow.
Guess I'll head over there and see what she's got then.
I'm gonna say I'm a little dubious of the decision to have Bill be our internal monologue and also, like, converse with us. Like, so in, like, a traditional point-and-click game, like, you tend to have a protagonist with kind of a running monologue of just, like, thinking out loud about all the stuff that you're encountering to give you, the player, context about your surroundings that may not be obvious from, like, pixel art. But, like, when he makes a comment and then we have to comment on the comment, it feels like it drags the pace a little bit. He says dragging the pace of the game down. I'm aware what I'm doing. The New Britannia Gazette. Remembering the HMS Ligeia. Hey, that was the blimp in the background. Hey, am I reading this? This is an awful lot. Oh no, that blimp crashed. Wow, blimps never end well, huh? God, this really is just like a lot of news. Are any of these headlines important? Gascon Grand Dame dies. Aether City. It's real and it's coming, says scientist. That's what's the name of the town from BioShock Infinite? The Sky Town? I feel like that's what we're talking about. Second bizarre murder baffles police. New Britannia police are investigating a murder in Chumley, similar to the one which occurred in that borough just last month. Though many details are confidential at this time, we're able to confirm that both victims have been male and died from gunshot wounds. New Britannia police declined to reveal any further details and denied rumors that the murders are being committed by a serial killer. We have no reason to believe that these murders are related, said Chief of Police Reginald Snelling. We have our finest detectives on the case, and we hope that whoever perpetrated these awful crimes very soon. In the meantime, we ask that the citizens of New Britannia, especially those in Chumley, remain vigilant and report all suspicious activity. Are we the serial killer because we shot a cop? Columbia, thank you, Angel. Oh, sweet. That sounds like fun, Angel. I hope you have a good time. Thanks for your generosity with the gifted subs earlier and everything. And the VOD's always here, and it's always nice to have you, and I hope you have a good time. We very much could be the murderer. But it would be really, like, I guess the thing that would be funny to me is, like, this quietly suggests that there's, like, maybe a serial killer, and that they, you know, shot one person, and then maybe shot another person, and, like, we know that we shot Bill, but it'd be really funny if we went and met with what's-her-face, the chief of police who isn't Roger Snelling or whatever, and she's like, yeah, I got a case that's really interesting. It's you, you're a murderer, you're under arrest. Alright, I'm not gonna read any of the other stuff, but that seemed like it might be relevant to our interests.
I'd love to see the look on Snelling's face if he ever found out you kept your old truncheon.
I guess I'm not bringing that with me to leave. Should I talk to my wife? Like, probably, right?
Daddy?
It's kind of rude not to. I appreciate that the depiction of this character is a little worse for wear after the description that's been given of the change to his lifestyle. Like, that's a good touch. Let's compliment our wife.
I've still got that song you sang last week at the Rutherford stuck in my head. You were amazing.
Thank you, Miles. That was a lovely evening. I always enjoy it when Joseph brings out his violin and we can relive the old days.
Certainly nicer than when he spends hours telling the exact same story whenever you visit.
They were very glad to see you, you know.
It's probably the most fun I've had in months, to be honest.
They've invited us for dinner again in a couple of weeks, if you're feeling up to it.
I hope I am.
It's very relatable, and I don't like it. I don't like that I'm in this picture. Let's ask about our wife. Is anything new, wife?
How are you? It feels as though we haven't seen much of each other these past few days.
I've been fine.
Addie, you're not a very good liar. What's on your mind?
It's probably us. We're broken.
I'm worried about you, Miles.
What? I'm
I
shocked.
know, but I've told you, there's no need to worry about me. I'm all right.
You're not all right, Miles. I may not be a good liar, but you can't fool me either.
Oh, sick.
I
Turnabout.
am
Fair
all
play.
right. What do I have to do to convince you of that?
You could start by throwing out that sleeping medicine. It's turned you into a different person.
I needed to sleep, Addie. I'll become an even worse person without it, believe me.
I know Bill's death was hard for you. It was hard for all of us. But whatever it is that's
called
bothering
manslaughter,
you,
Addie.
You know you can talk to me about it. That's what I'm here for.
I know, my love. Your support means the world to me. I need some time to deal with things. That's all. It won't always be like this, I promise.
Making promises you can't keep, eh, Miles? That'll end well.
Yeah, I'm not... Bill was, like, a fine enough character as, like, our partner. I don't think I like him as our, like, weird anti-Jiminy Cricket thing. I feel like our character's own internal monologue is probably self-destructive enough that we don't need, like, a second person expressing that. And I know we're not, like, literally hearing our own character's thoughts, but, like, I felt like that all was clear from what was discussed. Ask about work. I think I'm gonna try not to exhaust every dialogue option. Maybe I will. I don't know.
How's work going? Do you have any appointments today?
Yes, one this evening. It's been a bit slow lately, but pretty soon it'll be debutante ball season, and all the Gascon grand dames will need their hair done. You sure I can't convince you to let me give you a little trim? You've been looking awfully scruffy lately.
What's the point? I've got no need to go peacocking around town. You're the only girl for me.
Yeah,
I like
she
it
might.
when you're clean cut. It brings out your eyes.
The way my eyes
This.
have been looking lately, I think it's best to keep them hidden.
Wow, very cool. Sure, I'll ask about the book.
What's that
Why
you're
not?
reading?
It's a collection of short stories by James Penstroke. It was just published earlier this month.
Any good?
Oh yes, I love his work. He's been publishing a new serial in Brentwell magazine. I can't wait to read it. Perhaps we both can together? I think you'd enjoy him.
Lately, I haven't been able to concentrate on a page for more than 5 minutes without nodding off.
Despite needing sleep
That is a
medication.
pity.
I'll let you get back to your book.
Alright, I guess I'll leave now.
I'll see you later, Addie.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.
I hope somehow our disheveled hair, like, gets us in trouble. Like, oh man, should've listened to the wife. I assume this is the Ruin coffee house? Is it supposed to sound like ruin so that it's like a thinly veiled metaphor for our mental and career status?
Ah, the Rouen Coffee House. Worst Java in Lamplight City, but there's no better place to overhear all the rumors and gossip in town. Just make sure you don't get too close to the other patrons. Discretion was never your forte.
Real quick, I'm just gonna adjust something for my own purposes that shouldn't affect you at all. Yeah. I think my microphone will obscure less of the text that probably isn't that important, but still. Let's also save. We haven't saved in a minute. Oh, we have autosave. That's fun. I'm still gonna hiss. Did I hit cancel? I did. There's Constance. I want to look at this big painting.
Self-Portrait as a Desperate Man by B. Calvert. A bit like looking in the mirror, isn't it, Miles?
I'm gonna look at these dirty plates.
Not much of a hurry to clean up in here, are they?
Man, I tell you what, these people would fail at plate up. I've been watching a lot of plate up gameplay. Don't judge me. Hey, Constance, what up?
If it isn't my old friend, up to no good.
Hello, Fordham. It's good to see you.
How
That's
did you
fun.
get them to let you in here?
Up to no good.
It's rather simple, really. The owner and I have an understanding. He pretends women are allowed in coffee houses, and I don't report his unsavory business practices to Chief Snelling.
Sounds like a good deal. What sort of unsavory business practices are we talking about?
Oh, we haven't got time to get into that now. But take some advice.
Don't yet.
Don't order anything that isn't water.
That would have been my immediate guess after hearing that. I'll do the one that doesn't feel like judgmental.
I got your message. What's going on?
It's time for you to join the big boys again, Fordham. Your days of finding lost cats are over.
So stop teasing me and tell me what
Kidnapped
it is
cats?
already.
Do you know
Big
Madame
leagues?
Laura Dupre?
This feels like a... Hey, people who design games like this choice is clearly unnecessary. Like, I know you want the player to feel like they have agency in a game where they're not, like, specifically controlling the actions of the character. I totally get that. This genre's like my wheelhouse. But, like, she just said a name, and I can either say I remember that name or I don't remember that name, and clearly I'm gonna get roughly the same experience. This does not feel useful.
Laura Dupre. She's one of those Gascon grand dames, isn't she?
That's right. I'm surprised you've heard of her. I didn't think you cared about those types of people.
I don't, but Adelaide has several of them as clients. She gets paid to pretend to care about their lives, and I get to hear the sort of details.
Madame Dupre died the day before yesterday. Her funeral was held this morning.
Oh,
My
dang.
condolences.
But halfway through the service, the mourners heard a loud knocking coming from inside her coffin.
Was it
She
me?
wasn't dead?
Apparently not. Nearly interred alive, although her doctor swears she had no pulse.
Did she take that Romeo and Juliet
Andrew was quick
drug?
to suspect foul play. He accused a man named Albert Martin, and the police arrested him.
So where do I come in? Sounds like the case has already been solved.
I strongly suspect that Martin is innocent, especially considering the talk of him having used black magic on Dupre. The police feel they have enough evidence to convict, so they're not bothering to investigate any further. You're going to look into it and see if I'm right, then find the person who was really behind this.
I do feel like we could ask her about it, but I'm gonna guess we will get the answer that she doesn't remember anything, because maybe it was drug-related, or maybe it was mystical, but either way, like, she probably doesn't remember, or we would have this information, I assume?
Why not just ask Madame Dupre herself?
She hasn't spoken since the ordeal.
Oh,
Apparently,
okay,
she's been
slightly different.
catatonic since they pulled her out of the coffin.
How unfortunate.
If you'd like to question Mr. Martin, he's being held at the Bow Street jail. Or you could take a look around his house. It's at 451 Compton Street in Worcester.
And the Dupre home?
That's at Emmeline and Comtesse, right across from the old Angeline convent. It's also possible you might run into the police during your investigation, since they're technically still on the case.
Thanks for the warning.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about before you get started?
Something kind of interesting to me about... Here's a police case, but, like, be wary of the police. Not unwarranted, not unprecedented in fiction, it's just kind of a funny sentiment. Here you go, investigate this, but, like, please avoid the police. I'll ask questions.
Actually, I had a couple of questions.
Let's hear them then.
Hey, how you
How
doing?
are things going with you?
Work is hectic as usual, and I'm spending my day off in here. But considering my home life is still a shambles, maybe this is the best place to be.
I'm truly sorry about that.
Don't be ridiculous. If it hadn't been for you, I'd still be chained to that philandering bastard. It hasn't been easy, but I'm much better off this way. Trust me. Anyway, work gives me something to focus on. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes, and I'm grateful to you for getting me these case leads. I know you're taking a risk to do it.
It's the least I can do. How about you? How's Adelaide?
She's fine, although things between us could be improved, if I'm being honest. The less said about it right now, the better, I think.
I'm sorry to hear that. You can talk to me about it if you need to, although I'm probably not the best person to ask for relationship advice.
I feel like there's an awful lot of ambient noise. I don't think it's too loud, but it does feel like a lot. Hey, would you like to talk about the ghost that occupies my brainwaves?
Don't suppose there have been any developments regarding Bill's murder.
Unfortunately not. The department hasn't exactly been focusing on that case as a priority. The general attitude is that it was an accident. Bill died an honorable death in the line of duty.
Would have been nice if they bothered saying that at the funeral.
And of course, there are still those who blame you for his death, Snelling being the first
Okay,
and
sure.
foremost.
If the chief of
Man
police
who really
doesn't
caused
believe that,
Bill's
that's
death
different.
is still out there.
Yes, I know, but it looks like you're on your own if you want to find him. My hands are tied. I can only ask around so much before the higher-ups get suspicious. Just don't give up. New Britannia may be a big city, but the criminal world is surprisingly close-knit. If you find any connections or leads during your other cases, be sure and let me know.
Are you saying that
I'll
we'll
do
make
the
a
same
lot of
if I
friends
find
with
anything
criminals?
See, she has a priority stream. You could learn a lot from up there.
Acadia says, just found out Germany has a drink that is orange juice mixed with Coke. I mean, well, what is it called, and B, why does it exist? Is that for anyone? That sounds not great. Review case. Is this summarized for
I
me?
wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
The one thing I can ask about.
What do you know about Madame Dupre?
Only what I've read about her in the paper. She's been married thrice, which I can empathize with, and she's extremely rich, which I can't.
What makes you think this Martin fellow is innocent?
The fact that the only evidence is the word of Dupre's son. I've seen this sort of thing thousands of times, and I'm sure you did too. They're just looking for a scapegoat. You're the only person I know who can put it right.
Upton's intentions are noble, but she has to realize this is just a drop in the ocean.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay.
That's it, I
I've
think.
decided I don't care about my
Then
job
you
anymore.
better get back to it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to help you find the flower shop burglar, but I suppose freeing an innocent man is a worthy diversion.
Hey, someone's got to pay for that one book our wife is reading because we have put her in an unfulfilling relationship. I might as well do it by freeing an innocent man, I suppose. I can go to her house now? Oh no, that's Dupree. It's a vaguely similar character model. Let's go talk to the guy first.
Fordham? Is that you? You look like something the cat spat up.
Hello, Giles.
I know, I'm having a good day.
It's lovely to see you too.
What brings you round the jail? I thought you'd quit being a detective.
I'm looking to speak with Mr. Albert Martin.
Oh, I see. Well, that's him in the first cell there. I'd say what needs
Are we in
saying as
Japan?
quick as you can, though. He's headed for the gallows in the morning.
What?
Oh, that's
already
aggressive.
What about a trial?
No trial necessary when there's black magic involved. This little half-breed's already sealed his fate.
Such a charming fellow, isn't he?
Does magic explicitly exist, or are we just, like, superstitious? I'm a little unclear on this at this point. By the way, I want to check. I want to try something, I think. So there's this checkbox here that says speech hold. I'm assuming if I check this, then it won't automatically advance dialogue without me clicking. I want to try that for a minute. Sometimes I can't crack wise because they're trying to give exposition. And you know I'd rather crack wise. But, like, this is not the first cell, right? It's on the far right. The first cell would have to be this one. Right? The drink is
Mr.
called
Martin?
Mezzo. Is it because it's a mess-o drink?
Who are you?
Oh, no, I have to
My
click right.
lawyer?
No, I'm actually here to help you. The name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
How are you going to help me?
I don't know.
I'm looking into the attack on Madame Dupre. I believe you're innocent.
Oh, thank heaven. That's music to my ears.
Yeah, but, like, you're probably gonna die.
Do you mind answering a few questions for me?
Friend, if it means saving me from the noose, I'll tell you nothing less than God's truth.
Okay, first, did you do it?
Interesting choice of phrase for someone accused of using black magic.
This portrait does not match what I would have expected this character to look like close up. The victim.
Can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
What's to tell? She's a twisted, evil woman who got what was coming to her. Whoever attacked her deserves some sort of reward for the service they're doing the community.
So it wasn't you then?
I mean, you gotta ask, right? Maybe not as a lawyer, but, like, as a private detective, like, you should ask. If it comes up later on, you'll feel very silly if you didn't ask. Because then they can get away with the old, like, you didn't ask.
No, I'm innocent, Mr. Fordham. You have to believe me.
I'm afraid you're not making that very easy right now, Mr. Martin.
About her death.
Do you know anything about the circumstances of Madame Dupre's supposed death?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Then why did her son accuse you?
Probably because he's just as ignorant as she is.
Alright, I gotta tell you, that phrasing doesn't make you seem more innocent. I'm not saying it makes you guilty, but it definitely doesn't sound more innocent.
What I meant was, how did her son know to accuse you? Have you had any contact with the family before?
Yes, you could say that.
Uh-oh. That gleam in his eye says it all.
You see, I'm involved with Dupre's daughter, Juliette Montgomery. Dupre doesn't like that one bit. She even threatened me once.
Is that right?
Yes, she might have everyone else fooled, but that woman is the devil incarnate. I can't understand how something so heartless and cruel could have spawned someone as pure and, loving as my dear Juliette.
Listen, man, I'm here to help you out, but, like, you definitely sound very suspicious.
He's not really helping his case much, is he?
Yeah. Appreciate the game shouting that out, too.
Tell me about Juliette.
She's wonderful. Such a beautiful, kind soul. She hasn't come to see me yet, but I'm sure that's because of all the confusion in the last few days. Juliet wouldn't believe for a second that I would be capable of harming her mother. I'm sure of it.
How did you two get involved?
We met at the university.
Your classmates?
Hardly. They wouldn't allow someone like me to enroll there.
Were you stealing supplies from the school closet, and then you saw her in the hallway?
Juliet studies botany. I work as an assistant in the greenhouse. We started talking, and she actually treated me like a person. To everyone else, I was just the boy who fetched the test tubes.
You know, I'm sure this has been done before, but for some reason right now I'm really smitten with the idea that, like, because this guy comes across so suspicious of the particular crime he's been accused of, I almost wish that we would just go to, like, absolute 11, and, like, every one of his responses would just be, like, he's, like, a known confirmed criminal in every way except the one he's accused of. And I promised he didn't do that one thing. That's the one thing he didn't do.
But Juliet actually wanted to hear what I had to say. Had the same taste in books and art. Didn't just treat me like some piece of gardening equipment. She even shared some of her notes with me after I told her I was interested in botany as well.
Did she think it was a euphemism?
From there, things just got better.
Perhaps.
I don't expect you to understand or approve, but that's how it happened.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It doesn't sound too different to how my wife and I got together. Except I was a detective and she was a singer at a bar.
But, like, noir films didn't exist because film doesn't exist. Although we do have, like, steam technology. So maybe film got an earlier start.
And she's...
Yes, Mr. Martin. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. How often is Juliet in the greenhouse?
Every weekday, but I doubt she's there now. She's probably trying to find out where I am and working to have me released.
Ooh, we'll find out about that. I mean, that could be true, but for some reason, the very fact he's saying that makes me think that's not true.
Somehow, I wouldn't bet on that.
Tell me about yourself. What are your likes and dislikes?
How did you end up in here?
I was just minding my own business at home when the police showed up with no warning. They made some outrageous claims about me putting some sort of curse on Madame Dupre. The next thing I knew, I was here. Oh, Mama must be beside herself with worry. I just hope she's all right.
What does your mother do, Mr. Martin?
She helps people.
What is with you, guy? We come into this place and we're like, hey, listen, I believe that you're innocent. I'm gonna ask you some questions and see if that helps point me in the direction to help prove your innocence. And he's like, great, I will tell you nothing short of the truth in every possible way. And then, like, every time we ask him a simple question, he's like, ooh, it's something sketchy. It's like, I mean, if there's some hidden meaning here, like, maybe just say it. It somehow feels worse for you to not be forthright about it.
I was hoping you'd be just a bit more specific.
She provides spiritual help to those who seek guidance.
She a medium? Can she talk to Bill?
She's a spiritualist.
Not quite. She's more like... how can I explain it?
Grifter?
You know how a priest holds mass to spread the word of God to the people?
Okay.
My mother holds services and calls on the spirits to walk among us, providing healing and guidance.
So like a kind of like a revival? Isn't that what that's called?
She's a religious leader?
If you want to give her that title, it would be the most appropriate.
And does this religion of yours have a name?
You'd probably know it as voodoo, but it doesn't mean what you think it does.
I mean, again, it doesn't mean this man is guilty, but every time we ask him a question, he does seem more guilty.
People are so quick to judge and portray us as evil when they have no idea.
This is fair.
So you practice voodoo, do you?
Are you making fun of me, Mr. Fordham?
How dare you rhyme?
No, of course not. Apologies if it seemed as though I was. It's just that the police are convinced that black magic was involved in Madame Dupre's apparent death.
That's because that idiot son of hers knew about my mother, and like all bigoted fools, assumed that we're involved in devil worship and the black arts. But I can assure you that this is most certainly not the case, Mr. Fordham.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply.
Just forget it.
That's all for now.
Oh, wait, before you go, would you do me a favor? Would you go see my mother at our house and give her a message?
I was planning on going there next, so that works out.
You're at 451 Compton Street, right?
Yes, that's right. Could you tell her I said St. Rock's dog is barking?
Hey, I issue you a challenge, sir. I would like for you to demonstrate the longest period of time you can go without saying something suspicious. I'm just curious what the upper limit on that is.
I suppose I could do that, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Whatever happened to a simple I love you?
I wonder if I have an option to not tell her that. We talked to...
He's watching you like a hawk. Looks liable to toss you in one of his cells if you try any funny business.
I suppose not, then. Ooh, he has a
I
horn.
bet that's a direct line to the police department. You should make a rude noise into it when Giles isn't paying attention.
I'm gonna go. There's the university, that's his place of work. Let's go to his house.
Ah, Compton Street. We're not too far from Restaurant Row.
You know, with some limited exceptions, and, like, not significant ones, I'd like to point out, I've really enjoyed the art style here. Maybe the character models are a little less favorite than the scenery, but, like, I've really liked the scenery quite a lot. Looks really nice.
When's the last time you ate, anyway?
Please, let's not add eating to the list of things to nag me about.
Clip clop, clip clop.
I'm sorry, I have no time for visitors today.
I suppose I should give the message since she doesn't want to talk to us.
You're Albert Martin's mother, aren't you?
Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I spoke with Albert, and he told me to give you a message. He said to tell you that St. Rock's dog is barking.
Oh, I see. That's good. That's very good.
Oh, is it? Well, that's good, I guess. I guess it's very good.
You better come in, Mr. Fordham. Standing on the street just won't do.
Great, it was a secret password or something, I guess.
Welcome to my home, Mr. Fordham. I am Sabine Martin. I hope you understand that Albert has nothing to do with this awful business.
I would really like to believe that, but he's incapable of saying anything that doesn't make me suspect him of crimes. Could you perhaps assist in a way that he isn't capable of doing?
Would you care for some tea?
Well, her tune certainly changed when you gave her that message. I wonder what it meant.
No, thank you, ma'am. I won't be staying long.
Yeah, I strongly get the impression there's like sort of a weird like vestigial effect here, I think, where like this game is sort of modeled after point and click games, but it is like I really think that the gameplay is modeled more closely after like LA Noire or even like maybe like Telltale or Dark Picture style games, where like it's really more about like a handful of choices and the rest of it is like kind of on rails. But like because it's designed like a point and click, there's like all this stuff you can look at, and like I don't know how much of it's important. It might be more along the lines of like Somnium Files, where like if you really want to, you can look at everything. But at the end of the day, almost none of it matters. It's interesting that I can like touch the curtain and not do other stuff. But let's talk to her first.
I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
It's a little interesting to me too that like obviously these are like higher, you know, resolution renderings of the characters, so they're gonna look a little different than the pixel art. But like so far I've been surprised like almost every time that we've gotten the close-up view of someone of like, oh, that's not quite what I would guess.
Do you think your son is capable of doing what he stands accused of?
Never. Albert wouldn't harm a fly.
Maybe a bee though. They sting.
That's what the mothers always say.
Why don't you tell me a bit more about him then?
He started working at the university laboratory a few years ago. I was so proud of him. The university is quite selective, you know. The same for its staff as well as its students.
That's interesting. He made it seem like he couldn't possibly get enrolled as a student, but if they're that selective about staff and students, and as a student he'd be paying the school. I guess maybe he's more making a comment that he can't afford the school?
Yes, I've gotten that impression.
I always told Albert to be careful around those high society types, but that one always thinks with his heart first.
Is she sure that's the correct body part?
You're so helping, Bill, thank you.
He's all the family I have, Mr. Fordham.
Madame
Do
Dupree.
you know anything about Madame Laura Dupre?
I never met her in person, but I know plenty about her.
Like what?
Nothing fit for a polite conversation, Mr. Fordham.
I know plenty, but nothing I will repeat to you because it is improper. This is a reasonable response.
But I can tell you this. Laura Dupre has far more enemies than she lets on.
Does that include you or your son?
It most certainly does not.
Juliet. I'm sure she loves Juliet. I'm sure that in no way does this woman have a similar opinion about Juliet that Odo's mom has about Iris in the Somnium Files.
What do you know about Juliet, Madame Dupre's daughter?
I know Albert was smitten with her, no matter that I told him to be very careful around her kind. Those rich Creole families don't care much for people like us. To them, we're just a help.
There's something a little weird to me about the setting. I know a moment ago I was talking about the scenery, but like the actual setting where this game takes place, where it's like, I guess, is New Britannia supposed to be New England? I guess somehow that didn't register to me right away. It felt more like it was trying to be like Victorian London-y. But either way, like whether or not that is true, like Voodoo and Creole like tend to focus in a very limited selection of like geographical space in the United States, at least. I'm sure there are places that it exists elsewhere, like outside of New Orleans and surrounding areas, but like I don't like the notion that like we'd be in an area that like has both Voodoo and rich Creole families. Like, are we in New Orleans? That definitely didn't strike me as where we were until the sentence was spoken.
But from his telling, Juliet sounded to be a decent soul. It's a shame the same can't be said for her kin.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll tell us what the secret coded message was.
If you'll indulge my curiosity, what exactly was the meaning of Albert's message?
Saint Roch is the patron saint of dogs, as well as the falsely accused. If he sent the message along with you, it means he trusts you, and that I should too.
Even though I'm very suspicious of him and his crimes.
Oh, I see.
Perhaps you were hoping for something more? That's just the way of mysteries, isn't it?
I hope that's not foreshadowing that the solution to these mysteries will be something disappointing. It'd be an interesting way of preparing the player for it, though.
How do you mean?
The thrill of the unknown is always more exciting than the truth. Mystery makes life a little more interesting.
True, but if mysteries were really better unsolved, I wouldn't have a job.
Are you reading any good books lately?
What exactly is it you do, Mrs. Martin?
I provide services to the public.
A delightfully vague answer if there ever was one. Give me something a bit more specific, please.
I'm a Mambo Asugwe. That means I'm what you call a voodoo queen. I'd give you a detailed explanation of the responsibilities and duties of the role, but your time would be better spent clearing my son's name.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can you
Voodoo.
tell me a bit more about your religious practices?
What I can tell you is that the ignorant whites in this city are afraid of us for no reason. Voodoo is not about black magic or dark spells or turning people into the living dead. It's about healing and life. Naturally, there are misguided souls who may try to use it for ill purposes, but I am not one of those.
Sounds like you hit a sore spot. Might be a good idea to stop pressing her on this angle.
The choice to have Bill be the internal monologue continues to feel very strange to me. Ask for tea. Yeah, why not? Let's have some
I
tea.
think I'll take you up on your offer for tea, after all.
Is it
All right,
poison?
Mr. Fordham.
Is it poison tea? That'd be a weird twist.
You'll have to give me a few minutes to heat up the kettle. I'll be back shortly.
Oh, I can like rummage around. That's what the tea is for. The purpose of the tea is to rummage.
Amazing. Even more voodoo stuff back there. Why would she keep these particular items hidden from view?
Because those are the evil ones? Those are the actual, like, black magic type stuff?
Good question.
They obviously have some importance to her. I'd suggest asking, but I don't know if that's the best idea given how sensitive she seems to be about the subject.
The tea should be ready in a few minutes, Mr. Fordham. You can help yourself once it's done.
The implication amuses me slightly, as though he'd be like, don't mind if I do. Grab the whole tea kettle and just, like, pour the whole thing down his throat in one go.
You're very kind, Mrs. Martin.
What happens if I go for the curtain while she's here?
I'm afraid that room is private, Mr. Fordham. I must respectfully ask you to not go in there.
Of course. My apologies. I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
Neko says, no, you'd obviously put the entire freshly boiled kettle into your coat pocket. That's a good point. Even though this game doesn't seem to have a traditional inventory system, we're still clearly in adventure game territory and have had in our possession items before. That must be what would happen.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
I mean, it seems like we have to ask about the back room, even though there's an implication that this will go poorly.
About that back room of yours.
I beg your pardon?
I don't know about this, Miles. Is this really a road you want to go down?
Ooh. Okay. There's no need to press it for now. We could probably come back here later and make an issue of it if we need to. But trying to make an enemy of her this early on is probably not a great idea, at the very least.
Actually, never mind. I misspoke.
I meant to say about your track bloom.
Thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
I like that. I'm not sure that there's a way I can actually get the tea. I think the tea is solely so I can, like, look behind the curtain and learn that there's, like, potentially something there. And since I have nothing else to ask about and, like, nowhere else to go, and I don't think it's, like, a timed event. Like, I think I just, like, made her put on tea and then I'm gonna leave.
Aren't you going to have your tea, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I just remembered something important I need to look into. Perhaps later.
This feels rude.
Suit yourself.
At least she doesn't care. I feel like I want to check out his job before I check out the victim's family. I want as much of a picture as I can get about him before I hear what they have to say, because I feel like I'll have a general sense of what they'll say.
Oh, it's as though we've journeyed to the tropics. I don't know how you can stand to keep that coat on in here.
This is kind of a stray observation, but there's another something that's a little interesting I've noticed. Is when we met with the police contact at the coffee shop, like, we made a point of being like, oh, like, you must have some special arrangement to, like, be in a coffee shop, because women aren't supposed to be in coffee shops. But, like, she seemed to be in, like, a position of relative power, and I think there was an implication that she was, like, angling to be the chief of police. And, like, there's a woman here who seems to be in charge of the greenhouse, and, you know, there seem to be high society women, and, Miss Martin, I don't remember her first name, the one we were just talking to, you know, she's leader of her voodoo order. Like, it seems like it doesn't seem like this is, like, an extremely, like, sexist stratified society, but, like, then there was that remark that feels, like, strong compared to what we've witnessed so far. I don't know if that means anything at all. Hello. Oh, that's Juliet.
Pardon the disturbance, but are you Juliet Montgomery?
She's a student, right? Why is she, like, the only person here? That feels a little weird to me. I assumed that this was, like, the person who, like, runs the greenhouse.
I am. And you are?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into the events surrounding your mother's attempted murder.
Yeah, you know what? It turns out that she's not doing everything possible to get him released from jail. So that we've checked that off the to-do list. Figured that out.
Of course.
Have you got time to answer some questions?
Yes, that shouldn't be a problem.
Let's ask about your mom.
Do you know anything about the events leading up to your mother's premature internment?
No, it was a complete shock. Mother seemed to be perfectly healthy and full of life. Then, without warning, she was dead. Or so we thought.
I take it you were glad to be wrong?
What a ridiculous question. Of course I was. What sort of heartless beast would celebrate their mother's death?
I don't know about that. Following those, LA Noire rules, she definitely, like, had a bit of a weird look reacting to that. Like, I think it was implied she avoided eye contact, in so much as this portrait system can portray that.
Oh, I could name a few. Juliet definitely didn't shed any tears over Madame Dupre, though. That much is obvious.
Miss Montgomery, you don't have to lie to me. I'm not going to assume you tried killing your mother just because you weren't upset by her death.
I felt terrible about it. You have to understand, I didn't want her to be dead. I just felt a sense of relief. Please, don't think me a horrible person, Mr. Fordham.
Well, someday we'll meet your mother and we'll determine how we feel about that accordingly, perhaps.
It's just that Mother and I aren't currently on the best of terms.
Now, is that, like, before or after her death? Like, is your relationship strained because she came back from the dead, and you wish she was still dead? Or were you having trouble before that?
Why don't you and your mother get along?
We've never completely seen eye to eye on anything. She always disapproved of anything I did. When I was younger, she used to forbid me from speaking to the servants.
That's cool.
I saw no harm in a kind word or smile, but she warned us that if we were too familiar, they would take liberties.
That's chill.
Then when I declared my intentions to pursue academic studies, she really went livid. In her opinion, a university education was tantamount to a chastity belt. What sort of man would want a wife with a head full of useless facts, she'd say.
That's extremely chill. Very casual and cool.
Personally, I've always found intelligence to be quite attractive.
I assume your mother didn't approve of your involvement with Mr. Martin?
A rather forward question, Mr. Fordham. But you're not mistaken. I'm not sure how she managed to find out about Albert and me, but when she did, she nearly had a conniption. As I'm sure you can understand, the situation at home has been less than perfect in the last few months. I'd really rather not dwell on it.
It says her mom sounds like my grandma. That's rough. I'm sorry to hear that, Neko. I genuinely feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just my personality, or maybe it's a general thing, I don't know. But like, I find it difficult to be around people who are like that.
You mentioned you were friends with the servants.
Yes, that's right. I didn't care that they worked for us. Everyone needs a friend.
Did your mother ever mistreat them?
Mistreat? No, I wouldn't say so. She was always very stern, though, and quite cold.
You did enjoy lighting them on fire and hunting them for sport. But mistreatment? Depending on how you define it, not exactly.
If they ever shirked their duties or misbehaved, they were punished, of course, but nothing out of the ordinary that I ever saw. Most of the servants are my friends, but I'm closest with Amelie, the kitchen maid. Mother wasn't too happy about that. Amelie's been around as long as I can remember. She's like the aunt I never had.
Albert Martin, tell us about the guy. Is he evil?
So, you study botany. Fascinating subject.
Are you an admirer of plants, Mr. Fordham?
My wife has the green thumb in the household, but I do have a certain appreciation for them.
Plants are amazing things, just like people in many ways.
Except for the several ways that they aren't, which are numerous.
How do you mean?
They need attention and care. Ignore a plant, and it will wither. Give it too much attention, and it will become sick.
I'm not sure that applies strictly like one-to-one with the result it would have on humans. I mean, it's probably not ideal to give too much attention to a person, but I don't think people become sick when that happens. I don't think.
Plants have many things to teach us, and I greatly enjoy learning from them.
It wasn't asking about Albert. That was not really about Albert. That was like plants.
What can you tell me about Albert Martin?
I'm not quite sure where to begin.
Why not start by telling me what your relationship with him was?
Accountant, believe it or not.
We met here at the greenhouse. He was working as an assistant, sweeping and cleaning and fetching things for the students. My focus was on academics, naturally. I wasn't too interested in romance. In fact, I've had to turn away nearly every single one of my classmates. But with Albert, I found myself intrigued. I noticed him stealing glances, lingering just a bit too long after bringing over a book or flask, sweeping the same patch of floor near me over and over again.
Okay.
It wasn't too long before I had him bringing me tools and equipment, regularly.
I mean, you know, to each their own, but she didn't describe anything, like, super endearing. Like, that could definitely come across as, like, creepy, also. I mean, I've long since believed that, like, the ideal thing for one person comes across as creepy to another, which is why I think the internet has such a hard time understanding relationships on a large enough scale. Like, if you look at, like, Reddit, for example, anytime people start talking about relationships, it's like, oh no, don't get Reddit started on this. It will give only bad advice and hot takes. And, you know, I think there's something similar to be said of, like, dating apps and things. It's probably the source of all those, like, weird trends in dating apps, like you're just required to say that you like hiking, or, like, people think you're a serial killer or something. Seems to be how that works.
I see.
As I mentioned, Mother was an absolute terror when she found out.
Do you believe Mr. Martin did what he stands accused of?
I'm not entirely sure.
Oh.
It doesn't seem like him, but Albert can be quite passionate.
That's an interesting response.
If the police believe he's to blame, then they must have a reason for it. It wasn't any secret that he hated Mother. Perhaps I should have ended things sooner. It was satisfying to know that Mother was displeased, but I never imagined it would lead to something like this.
Well, it's nice to see she's all heart.
Plants.
These plants are impressive. Are they yours?
It's a whole greenhouse that belongs to the school. I doubt that they're all hers.
Yes, I've developed a method to make them extra healthy and strong.
I'm just gonna assume we're talking about plants that are, like, directly in front of her and not broadly all the plants. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a fit.
They're larger than anything I've ever seen. How do you do it?
But I can't reveal my secrets, Mr. Fordham.
I think it's McDonald's special sauce. I think that already exists in this time frame. I think it's part of the advanced steam technology.
The world will hear about my discovery soon enough.
Incidentally, do you know anything about Easter lilies?
You know, fair question, but kind of a jarring introduction to the conversation.
No, I don't keep or grow those here.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Alright, but don't leave town, okay?
One of those cute little Japanese trees that are all the rage these days. Personally, I don't see how giving a tree a haircut is meant to be relaxing.
I would like to... Is this contraption plot relevant?
Judging from that pipe, that contraption must be used to keep the plants hydrated. But it looks like a giant earwax remover to me.
Okay. I should go. I think we only have, like, really one place to go at this point. Although maybe then we can, like, talk leads with our contact at the coffee house, who for some reason is implied that she will live at the coffee house until we're done the investigation, even though she clearly has a day job.
You are aware this is private property, sir?
Yes, I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the incident involving Madame Dupre. I assume this is she?
Okay, says, do you guys use a giant metal tank to remove earwax? Well, he said it was like a giant earwax remover. I do have, like, kind of like a hefty, like, palm-sized one. It makes a ton of noise. But it's helpful because since it makes all that noise, since it's like a steampunk, steam-driven device, you can clearly tell whether you're hearing it or not, and thus, like, whether you've removed the correct amount of earwax, you know? So I recommend, like, a really old-fashioned one, like, yeah.
You assume correctly, Mr. Fordham. My apologies, but I thought the police had already made an arrest.
That's right, but there's still some doubt as to the man's guilt. May I ask your name, sir?
I am Dr. Fellows. Madame Dupre's private physician. I'm afraid she is in no state to be answering questions at present.
You like her wheelchair with, like, the, like, hard-mounted umbrella parasol contraption?
Are any other members of the family home?
Her son, Mr. Montgomery, is in the entrance hall. I had to give him a mild sedative to settle his nerves, but he should be all right to converse.
Man, those really were different times, huh? It's like, he was a little upset, so I gave him powerful drugs. Now he can't talk, and that was the desired result.
Then if you don't mind, I'll have a look around.
Can I talk to him?
Doctor,
Can I ask him?
Can I ask you a few questions?
Please, be my guest.
Even though he, like, just a moment ago didn't want us to be here. Again, not really what I pictured him like. He looks very cartoony to me for some reason.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
She is a great woman and a pillar of the community. I cannot imagine why something like this could happen to her, or how someone could be capable of such a barbaric feat.
They probably took it when they gained their third skill level as Barbarian. You get, like, access to feats, and one of them might be magically attempted murder. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like a thing that could happen in, like, a TTRPG.
Though this ordeal has been terrible, I am confident she will overcome. The power of her physical constitution is surpassed only by her strength of character.
You think he'd say the same things if he wasn't on her payroll? I highly doubt it.
What can you tell me about the alleged death?
What were the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's supposed death?
Her son, Andrew, sent for me a few days ago after finding her unconscious and unresponsive. As I was unable to detect a pulse or breath, I had no other recourse but to declare her deceased. I judged that Madame Dupre had likely suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. It was most shocking to be proven wrong at a funeral.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing for you, bro.
I can imagine. Where was the funeral held, by the way?
St. Denis Cemetery. Madame Dupre wished to be interred in the tomb of her father's family, name of Chesterton.
Perhaps I'll go have a look.
Ooh, I have a new objective. Tell me about you, weird doctor.
How long have you been Madame Dupre's private physician?
5 years, and I've been practicing medicine for the past 30. I still spend a couple of days a week treating patients at Riverview Asylum.
Oh, good. Maybe if you're lucky, he could be your doctor someday.
30 years is quite a long time. You must have seen some incredible advances in the field of medicine.
I have, yes. I can only wonder how things will change with all this talk of ethericity.
Is this just Kaladesh? Maybe this is just Kaladesh. Is a horrible Frankenstein chair. I don't disagree with that. It definitely feels a bit cobbled together. I'm not sure that my feelings are quite as strong as yours, Neko, but I feel like that's a fair takeaway.
There's speculation it can be used to restore necrotic tissue and instantly heal broken bones, among other things. If you ask me, a good bloodletting will never go out of fashion.
It's true. A good bleeding with leeches to cast the devil out of them is typically a good starting point in medicine, even to this day. Post-trauma exam. For some reason, slightly surprised that this wording.
Did you examine Madame Dupre after she reanimated?
Of course. Physically, she appeared to be in fine health, aside from minor dehydration. I found no marks or bruising on her body.
So wait, maybe she had too much attention. Maybe they had overwatered her, and then when she became slightly dehydrated, then she started to behave normally again, because her system had readjusted. Do you think that we were foreshadowing all along with that weird conversation we had with the arborist's daughter?
Mentally is a different story, however. She's remained in an unresponsive state ever since.
Either that, or maybe she's some sort of plant clone.
Do you have any opinions on what caused Madame Dupre to appear dead?
The most likely cause I can imagine is some sort of poison or toxin.
Poison?
What leads you to believe Madame Dupre was poisoned?
The symptoms she experienced were consistent with prior cases of poisoning I've studied. And didn't the young man arrested have ties to some kind of black magic cult?
That is probably overstating it. At least as far as obvious evidence suggests. There could certainly be something more sinister going on there, but The information I have so far reads like outright murder cult.
There have been reported cases of these practitioners using poisons to make people appear dead, then commanding them to do their bidding. I recall reading about a man in the West Indies who was given tetrodotoxin, that's the toxic secretion from a pufferfish, declared dead and buried. He appeared alive in his village some 20 years later.
Something like weirdly off-putting to me about like how very fictional this setting has been so far, and then we casually dropped the West Indies, like, oh yeah, no, but like the West Indies are still there.
Doesn't that seem a bit far-fetched to you, Doctor?
Facts are facts, Mr. Fordham. Surely someone in your line of work can appreciate that.
Alright, but just saying like random things doesn't make them facts, right? This is an important
Those are all
lesson
the
for people
questions I've
today
got
too.
for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
No, I'm disappointed in your performance. You get a C-. Guess we're gonna try to talk to the son? Didn't he imply he was, like, unconscious?
Oh, hello. Are you the new servant?
I feel like I immediately don't like you.
No, I'm Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into your mother's attempted murder.
How did you know I was her son? Oh, of course. You must have sensed it with your detective's intuition. I should have guessed by that giant head of yours.
I feel like I don't like you.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, I'm fine. Much better than when those pesky police officers were snooping around earlier.
That's interesting. Did he need the sedative because the police investigation had agitated him? Because they learned something that implicated him or made his story seem false?
But I like you, Mr. Fordham. I can already tell you're not like them. Not like them at all. Please, call me Andrew.
Yes, well, I'll have a look around and I may need to ask you some questions. Do you think you can handle that?
Oh, it's a tall order.
I can. In fact, I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I don't think this man is okay. That's the same toxin from the blue ring jellyfish. Read about it just as you were about to sleep. Like recently, Neko? Causes temporary paralysis until the body metabolizes it. Isn't an antitoxin, so people have to be put on ventilators. Oh, wow. So that's a strong toxin. Like, that's like a full paralysis. That's not like a partial paralysis. That's like literally all the muscles, including like breathing, shut down. Wow. Wow, Demolition, that's a big task, huh? You just went through your Steam library and have hidden around 260 games. You know, I sometimes feel like I have too many, but I feel like whenever I hear someone else talk about it, like, I have like a moderate amount too many games. Yeah, hopefully you find something to do with them. Or otherwise you can perhaps really look forward to it.
If the good doctor gave him a mild sedative, I'd hate to see what the stuff you take would have done to him.
Okay, I could talk to this man, or hear me out, parrot.
Parrot? Must have cost the Dupreys a cool copper.
This is one of those fun things where I like to point out what this scene looks like to, like, a third-party observer. Like, you're seeing me play this game and it looks like a video game, but, like, consider the fact that I, like, just came into this guy's house, like, really lightly insulted him, and then he's like, I'm really looking forward to talking to you. And then I just ignore him and then walk up to his parrot and start a conversation. That's who I am as a police detective. Who is a pretty bird?
Who's a pretty bird?
Ray's a pretty bird.
Does Polly want a cracker?
Polly want a cracker?
No, thank you.
Pieces of 8?
Pieces of 8?
Aye, matey.
Good parrot.
So long, birdie.
Bye-bye.
It was extremely worth my time, even though it's clearly a human being doing that and not even a little bit like a bird. Oh, I can't look at the statue. I thought we were gonna get to make a lewd comment. Oh yeah, that VA for that must have had fun for sure.
Oh, goody.
Dude, what's with the mouths on the people in this location? They look super weird, and I can't explain why. It's something about the contrast of the colors of, like, the lips and the face that, like, make the mouth look kind of, like, sunken or something. I'll ask all the questions in order, ending with Paris.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She came back from the dead. I couldn't believe it. My mother, resurrected, just like Jesus.
I'm not sure we should talk to this man.
Yes. I heard you're the one who accused Mr. Martin of the crime.
Oh, no, I already talked to the police about that. I don't want to think about it right now.
Interesting. Does this perhaps suggest that he was coerced into making that accusation? Like the mother somehow didn't want... Well, no, I guess the mother's not speaking, right? I don't know who would have done it. We don't know, I guess, all the players involved necessarily. But, like, maybe there's some reason that someone had, like, an axe to grind? Or, like, wanted him out of the picture or something? And, like, blackmailed or coerced this guy into making the accusation, and that's why he's so upset about the police involvement? Tell me all about yourself, guy. What's your favorite ice cream?
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. Nothing as exciting as what you do, I'm sure. Ooh, tell me, do most bad people start crying when you catch them? I'll bet it's a laugh riot to see them sobbing away.
Fun.
No, Mr. Montgomery, most of them don't.
Well, that's a real shame, isn't it?
Tell me about Juliet. She's your sister, right? I think, if I understand correctly.
What can you tell me about your sister, Juliet?
I'm reminded of a famous quote, Mr. Fordham.
This will either be good or bad. No middle ground.
Parting is such sweet sorrow.
I stand corrected. I'm not really sure how to take that. Because as most people in this game seem like weird creeps. I'm inclined to agree. So far, everyone has either been weird, a creep, or a weird creep. I think that applies to everyone, I think.
Let us part on good terms and avoid the subject altogether, please.
A parrot.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
I like looking at him. He has such pretty colors, doesn't he?
That he does.
You know, I've always wondered what he might taste like. Is
awesome.
That bad, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's like the murderer. Dude feels like a murderer.
I really couldn't say, Mr. Montgomery. Thanks for your time.
No, thank you for yours.
This is ridiculous. He won't be of any use in this state.
Does that mean that we have to solve a puzzle of some description where we, like, sober him up or something?
If it takes him as long to snap out of it as it takes you, we'll be waiting around here until noontime tomorrow. There has to be a way to bring him back to his senses. Maybe that quack outside knows something of use.
But, like, he was deliberately given this medication because he was struggling to answer questions that the police had for him, right? Why would that guy, like, collaborate with us to undo the thing he specifically did? Yeah, the mouth movements aren't helping. Maybe that's simply to simulate his reaction to the medication, but, like, I imagine he's just weird. I feel like he's just weird. I'm just gonna wander around your house, guy. I don't know why I'm allowed to do this, frankly. Oh, hey, yeah, Emily. We were told about her. She's friends with Juliet.
Pardon me, miss.
Nico says, bring the parrot as a witness for Phoenix Wright. Well, we learned from Phoenix Wright that, like, Parrot's a good witness, but, like, I assume that there will be, like, a Law and Order trial segment at the end of this, too. So, like, we probably still need it for this game.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm investigating the attempted murder of Madame Dupre.
I'm also trespassing, just for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm very busy. I can't help you.
Tell me.
Amelie, please. I need to know what you know about Madame Dupre.
What? How did you know my name?
I've inadvertently managed to do everything in seemingly, like, the precise, most efficient order. It feels like every time I've come to, like, a proverbial locked door, I've already had the key in pocket. Juliet told me about you.
Juliet told me about you.
Miss Juliet?
Yes, I spoke to her at the university. She mentioned you two were friends.
Yes, that's right. She's always been so good to me.
Look, Amelie, I'm just trying to get some information. And I have a feeling you can be very helpful if you just let me talk to you.
All right, fine. But do it as fast as you can.
Listen, the lady of the house is basically comatose. Her son is in the house, but is so wrecked by his current status that I literally was able to wander in here completely uncontested. And the daughter of the house is, like, your close friend. Like, I don't think you need to panic. Like, I think we're okay for kind of a while.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
Oh, I really shouldn't.
The bread
sir.
does look nice. I could go for some bread.
It would greatly help my investigation if you did.
Madame Dupre was kind enough to hire me as her cook. It's hard to get jobs in the city. Lots of people want their servants to use those new machines.
Those newfangled machines? Would you say the machines are fangled? What are we investigating?
My sister's brother-in-law got half his leg blown off by one of those new ovens. He's lucky he wasn't killed.
Wow, I gotta say, I don't remember that part of the Carousel of Progress.
So I'm plenty happy working here doing real people's work. But Madam, can be difficult sometimes.
Difficult? What do you mean by that?
No, I said enough.
About her alleged death.
What do you know about Madame Dupre's supposed death?
All I can tell you is that whoever did it really hated her.
Do you know Albert Martin, the man accused of the crime?
No, I'm sorry.
What can you tell me about Andrew?
He ain't so bad. Kinda spoiled, but he mostly cleans up after himself. Has a whole private part of the house, but I think he only uses one room. Better for me, way less to clean.
Andrew the son? I was struggling to remember who Andrew was and was feeling too stupid to say it out loud.
What do you know about Juliet?
She was always so kind to me and the others, but her mother don't like that one bit. Still, she sneaks down into the kitchen to keep me company some nights. Even though she's a good soul, I think part of her does it just to spite her mother.
Still sort of a net good, right?
Are you the only remaining servant here?
No, there's another one, Marcel. He's the new gardener. I haven't seen
Gardener,
him in a
huh?
few days, though. Not since before Madam's incident.
There's something mildly suspicious about that. Why is gardening so involved in this case?
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Now please, let me get back to work.
I'm taking this bread with me. Nope, I can't do it. I feel like I might need to know what's on the
Yeah,
stove.
it looks like gumbo's on the menu tonight. I wonder how it compares with Upton's special recipe.
The ocean says, looks like you can't sell games you own unless special cases in the EU. I was gonna say, I wasn't really familiar with that practice, but, like, I'm honestly not, like, an authority on all things Steam. But that seems unfortunate. I'm sorry that there's not a better solution. Or at least I hope that you managed to find one somehow. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna need to come in here and get, like, ingredients for something to, like, sober up the sun. So let's go talk to the doctor and see if he'll, like, tell us how to fix it. I just instinctively did double-click. I think it's the first time I've used that to, like, skip the leaving animation.
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
Is the gray stuff delicious?
May I ask exactly what kind of sedative you gave Andrew?
A simple tincture of laudanum. It's what I give all my nervous patients.
Hey, that alleviates the horror in Darkest Dungeon. I wonder if that's what he was experiencing.
He seems a bit out of sorts.
Hot? Meat kettle.
It can have that effect, but it usually wears off in half a day or so.
Is there a way to bring him out of his condition sooner?
A stimulant would have the opposite effect, but I wouldn't recommend mixing the two.
But it sounds like so much fun.
It could have potentially harmful effects on his heart.
Oh, of course. I wasn't planning on doing anything of the sort. I was just curious.
See, this is how I know that at its soul this game is still an adventure game, is like, we're almost definitely gonna do that, consequences be darned.
It's cute how you act like you have no experience in these matters. It's almost convincing.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
I know exactly what the game just put in my... Find a stimulant to bring him out of his stupor. No additional details on that? Okay. I'm gonna sort that out, I wonder. This is not an exit, right? Go upstairs.
A horrible little porcelain figurine. Madame Dupre didn't strike me as the type to play with dolls.
Something like weirdly suspicious about how prominently this thing is displayed. Kind of thought I'd get a more interesting response than that. This kind of looks like the upstairs hallway from Maniac Mansion, except it doesn't have the, like, comically large, super locked door in the middle.
Goodness, someone went overboard with the flowers. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
This says, I know when I try to gift game, Steam sometimes doesn't let me because sale prices are off by a certain amount between UK and US. I think any more than a 10% price difference doesn't let you. I didn't know that at all.
Ones I'd rather forget.
It's actually, like, the general layout of the upstairs of this place does actually legitimately feel reminiscent of the layout of the Maniac Mansion from Maniac Mansion.
Oh, look! It's one of those new audio cylindergraphs. I can't quite wrap my head around how they can manage to get sound out of a wax cylinder.
Is there a stimulant in? Oh, awesome! Hey, look, a container of leeches. Can I put these loose in my pocket?
Is this really the best that medical science has to offer?
These should be useful.
Sick! I got tweezers for some reason.
Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. These would make a sloth act like a hummingbird.
You know, I was expecting this puzzle to have more steps, but, like, if I could just, like, straight up give this guy some pills I found upstairs, that would certainly make my life easier.
The bottle is empty.
Well done. If I look at the casebook, does... an empty bottle of pills designed to energize even the laziest of people. Recommended for use by men only. Contains 98% benzyl methylecgonine. So good at science. I kind of thought it was going to give us, like, a recipe or something. So I guess I just need to find... Wait, what's the point of this? If there's essentially, like, one effective ingredient is the only thing I care about, like... That just feels weird. Like, couldn't you just tell me that's the thing I'm looking for? How much of what's up here am I stealing?
It looks as though this folded piece of paper is being used as a bookmark.
I should steal it so that they'll lose their page and never know why. Hey, Zagula, welcome to the stream. How's it going? It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry that you were not able to join us for more of the Nirvana Initiative saga from earlier this year. I feel like you would appreciate so much of it. That was cocaine, Vasco. Why does everyone know the scientific name of cocaine so casually? And seem to judge me for it? I mean, fair enough. But, like, I'm just curious why everyone knows. No, like I want it. Give it to me.
I hope remembering what page they were on wasn't too important.
Yeah, it's mine
Looks
now.
like it's a letter for Andrew.
Andrew, encloses the agreed-upon fee. I wouldn't be able to concentrate on exams without this help. Dr. Tennyson charges an obscene amount. Thank goodness for good people like you with home pharmacies. I'll look for them in the usual spot under the Weeping Angel. Oh Lord, not the Weeping Angel! Yeah, sorry to hear about your mother. I'll wait a few days before passing by. So he made some cocaine for his buddy to help pass exams, and now we're gonna go find the angel and steal it so that we can hop him up. Cool.
A gentle reminder that everyone's time is slowly running out.
I guess I'll leave this stuff here for now. I don't know what else I need. Does my character play the piano? Can I get a record contract? What's all this cocaine talk? Well, apparently we're gonna dose a guy with cocaine so that he'll have a conversation with us. Hashtag adventure game problems. In adventure games, you're always an absolute sociopath. And even though this seems like a kind of unconventional adventure game, like, we're super much a sociopath, so I think it counts. Yeah, it's super cool, right? I'm really concerned about the fact that it's like labeling all the keys, suggesting I'll need to do something with this later. You think you own this game but haven't played it? I'd be totally shocked by that. I feel like it's like well reviewed. I got it a while ago and it's something I wanted to stream for a while. And as you may be able to tell by looking at the stream, it has like kind of a weird aspect ratio. And it's giving me a little bit of trouble getting it going. Yeah, it's gonna be a puzzle. I'm gonna be mad about it. Maybe I should... No, well, no, let's check the upstairs first. Well, that's good, I guess, Angel. It's good because you get to be here with us. That the plans are starting tomorrow instead. But it sounds like it'll be fun. You do it because you like chemistry and watch a lot of toxicology videos. That's fair. I also don't mean to judge. I just, like, multiple people in chat were like, Vasco, that's cocaine. As if I should just, like, know that off the top of my head. And I'm like, I was not aware I should know that. Especially since I can barely read the word while looking at it.
Madame Dupre was taking music lessons.
Hey, remember that time? At least this one does the courtesy of telling me what the notes are and then labeling the notes on the piano. Which, unlike Nirvana Initiative, seems to suggest that my character has piano skill and is allowing me to use knowledge that the character I'm playing has to make the puzzle doable for me, the player, regardless of my own personal musical knowledge, which makes the puzzle a lot more enjoyable for me, the player who doesn't have musical knowledge.
Her current predicament has probably put an end to that venture, though.
Although this is basically just... Gale?
Seems Madame Dupre fancies herself a poet.
Can you imagine if it only gave you sheet music? I certainly can, Zacula. I feel like I've played at least one adventure game at some point that did something, like, shockingly similar to that. I want to cite Myst, but, like, Myst isn't that bad. Like, there's, like, a book somewhere in Myst that, like, tells you what keys you're supposed to press on the piano, but for some reason, even, like, following that, it, like, didn't work for me. Hey, why is it actually capturing, like, other people's, like, Steam? Normally, it's, like, good about not doing that on the capture window, isn't it? Shouldn't it not be doing that? I feel like it normally doesn't do that. Like, I play a decent amount of Steam games at this point, and that's the first time I think I've ever seen that happen. And this game is so janky, why is it like this? So I guess since there was a math puzzle in Kathy Rain that I'm pretty sure you need a college degree for. That's interesting. I don't know that I know of that game. How bad was the... Did you give up on the puzzle, get a college degree, or look up a walkthrough? I don't know what I'm looking at. To dream, oh Morpheus! Caress my cheek! Bring forth the soothing visions! Give me strength when I am weak! Allow me some provisions! In your domain I am as a queen, controlling all I see and whore. That definitely doesn't look like here, but I think it's supposed to be here. I've traveled places I've never been, and know not the meaning of fear. We also have the dove! The dove is pure, serene, and pale. A glowing angel in the sparkling sky. Its gentle coos, unlike the wail of the cursed crow that will not die. Protect the dove from grim defeat. Let it remain in gentle flight. For when the crow's allowed to eat, it covers the world in eternal night. You looked it up. Yeah, I've been there before. I played some real janky adventure games. Some of them you just gotta look up.
Well, that was life-changing.
Is Kathy Rain like a famous adventure game? Like I've just genuinely not heard of it.
For once in my life, I'm completely speechless.
Then perhaps I should take this with me and read it more often.
Those are definitely solutions to
Nah.
puzzles then. No, just kidding, they're not. Oh, look at that, I got an achievement for that. Also, it doesn't normally capture those, right? I don't think it normally captures them. Hey, Steam, are you okay? Are you doing alright, Steam? Sure feels like there's like a secret passageway behind one of these.
Choice and consequence. Who in their right mind would write a book about that?
Is that supposed to be like a wink because we're playing a game where there are consequences to choices? Based on what little I know, and I've covered most of this at this point, I do believe that this is the type of game that has multiple endings. Now, whether it has multiple endings for each of the multiple cases I believe it to have, or whether the end of the game just has different endings, that I don't know. Same people who made Whispers of a Machine. Okay. I did play Whispers of a Machine, but I think that might be the only thing I've played from that studio. And I didn't have, like, great things to say about that. That game was not terrible, but it wasn't great. It definitely had some interesting ideas, but it just kind of... I don't even know how I would describe it exactly. It didn't really, like, commit in a sort of way. It kind of just, like, happened. The stuff that it was, like, doing that was unique was pretty good, but, like, the story was kind of just there. I don't know.
One of those melodramatic romances. I read it a while back, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
By the way, Zacula, since you're just joining us, we have sort of an internal monologue voice that is completely different from our actual protagonist voice, because they used to be buddy cops together, and then we shot our partner, and now he haunts our brain and is our internal monologue. Yeah, that was the sci-fi one, and there were, like, 3 different, like, attributes that you could sort of, like, devote your solving of a criminal case to, and, like, as you did that, you got, like, cybernetic augments activated. Like, the game posited that you got, like, injected with this, like, special, like, serum, and, like, its effects would vary based on, like, your personality, and that was, like, depicted in a certain way that you would, like, answer questions or ask questions of people, and ways you would solve puzzles and things along that nature. And so, like, it has a certain amount of replayability in that, like, there's at least 3 different ways that you could get skills and whatever. It was a really interesting concept, but it was, like, just ended up okay. Oh, hey, Sniper Justin, I almost missed you. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. We've added a bunch of exciting new stuff. I need to there's, like, some fading green screen effect that should not be in effect when I'm using this, but I'm gonna keep showing this up, because I'm pretty proud of it. What is causing that to flicker? There's, like, a flicker at the beginning and the end, and I don't know what is causing that. It might be something to do with the fact that I have, like, layered images to do the capture right now, because I've never done that before. Was it doing that yesterday? I shouldn't be doing that. Oh, that's cool. Zacula says when he was, the lady who voiced the main character popped into his Whispers of a Machine stream. I love when stuff like that happens. When I played Strangeland around this time last year, like, one of the developers showed up and, like, was hanging out. That was cool. Angel, thank you for gifting a sub to Sniper Justin. Much appreciated. Here, have one of these this time. Oh, that one's flickering too. Yeah, that must have to do with my... See, now I wanna test this. Now we're gonna do some more science. So, if I... what would I want to do here? I would want to hide this, and then if I did it again... No, it's still doing that. What's wrong with technology? Man, I'm sick of technology. Technology sucks a butt. I said it. You heard me. Seriously, was it doing that yesterday? Hang on. It's me again. I'm gonna press one of these buttons again. Nah, it's doing that. It's just doing that now. I tested this like a ton of times, and it like was not giving me issues, and now it's giving me issues? I didn't change anything that should affect that. I'm not troubleshooting that any further, but I'm gonna keep an eye on that. It should be working fine. I know I did all the correct steps and I tested it a bunch. It really should just be working. Anyway, someone asked what all these books are. Frankly, they're nothing. I'm going to leave and stop looking at the bookcase. How do I actually exit? All the way to the side. Got it. Okay, great. It's interesting to me that they do these, like, light particle effects in various areas of the game. They don't seem to be meaningful. They're just supposed to be sparkly lights. It's fun. It's weird. I don't think I need anything else in here, except this. Sedef Gabka. I'm just gonna input that in the piano real quick, even though it's like kind of just a scale. Wallpaper is offensive. Is this better, Zacula? Do you like this room more? I don't know which C I want. Wait, it probably said on there, didn't it? It's like a lateral move. Yeah, I imagine that's the correct interpretation. Did it say which scale this was in? C sharp? Dude, I don't know music. I give up on this until I actually need to do it. Why was there a portrait of a naked guy? In here, right? One's worse, that's fair. I mean, he's not he's wearing underpants, maybe.
I don't know much about art, but I see Madame Dupre and I at least have similar tastes.
Zing. Alright, let's use the middle door. We haven't done the middle door yet. This is slightly less bad, but really only slightly, because it's kind of an intense red for wallpaper, huh? No, I mean, there's definitely like a little strip of something. It's definitely implied that there's underwear on him. Let me get my hands on this chest real quick.
Locked. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
I've never seen so many beauty products together in one place. Doesn't look like they get used much, though.
I really like that I'm just, like, freely rummaging around like a wealthy family's house right now. Like, no one seems to care.
They're all empty. How unusual.
It is actually pretty
Not to
weird.
mention disappointing.
About the papers.
Let's have a look through these papers. Aha, what's this?
Why is there a key on the... Why... Something annoys me about this. I went looking through papers and it's like, here's a key! And it's like, that's not... You would notice that. You wouldn't call that papers, exactly. Or at the very least, you'd be like, oh, there's a key on top of the stack of papers.
So,
I didn't read that at all. Why did I do that?
Chum. That's certainly interesting. I can't wait to see what sort of dirty secrets she's got hidden away in there.
Oh, this is Juliet's room. This is the daughter. Hang on, let me actually read that. I don't, like, my brain just, like, shut off for a second there. Landlady's note. Dear Miss Montgomery, unfortunately I've been informed about a series of burglaries in the neighborhood near the room you're renting from me at 76 Forest Lane. As a precaution, I've gone ahead and changed the locks. Please find enclosed a copy of your new key. I hope this doesn't cause you too much inconvenience or allow some stranger rummaging through your things to break into your other home as well. Reading is for chumps. Yeah, hey, is it possible for me to use the key on this chest? I know that's not the purpose, but I want to try it anyway.
Locked.
Still locked, so it hasn't unlocked itself in the last 30 seconds. That's good to know. Alright, I'm gonna do the piano thing later because I might need more context for that, and I don't have musical ability. I can go to the new apartment, which is a new thing to do, and I can try to... What was the other note? Where did it say the Weeping Angel was, where I was going to find that cocaine? Usually, it really doesn't say, huh? Okay. I'm gonna guess it's in their garden. I think I can go to the garden through the background of the main area. Yeah, something Doctor Who reference. That's pretty much what I got. Wait.
This fountain probably looked nicer when it was working, but right now it's just a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
It's kind of
There's
an angel
on the fountain, but it doesn't look like it's weeping.
Okay, I'm glad
This
you
would
clarified
probably
that.
be too risky a place to hide something anyway.
It would be pretty straightforward. How about like
With
the
vast
garden?
sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead, she uses the money to keep her hedges trimmed.
So I can't actually go to the garden. I can just look at the concept of garden. That feels like... It feels stupid, is what that feels. Oh no, I guess it's saying this garden. So like this gate here isn't anything. Forgive me for thinking that when the massive magnifying glass, when hovered over the gate, says garden, it made me think I could go to the garden. Where's Chopin when you need him? I don't know, man. I can never find Chopin when I need him. Alright, I guess I will have to look elsewhere. Do I know any other places the son would go that he might leave drugs under a weeping angel? For now, let's just go to the new location. It's very plants in here.
Egad, is this someone's room or a jungle?
Quite a fascinating array of plants in here, not to mention the machinery on the table.
Seems like Juliet is very interested in getting extra credit.
If you know what I mean. Can I also take like a laboriously close look at this bookcase?
That's quite the book collection.
All impeccably cataloged and organized as well, which makes the 2 missing volumes stand out even more.
Click through that. Man, my brain really turned off at some point recently,
That's
huh?
quite the book collection. It almost puts Adelaide's to shame.
All impeccably cataloged and organized as well, which makes the 2 missing volumes stand out even more.
He says that as though I've already, like, absorbed the information that there are 2 missing volumes, but I feel like the first time I would really get that is by clicking on it. It just feels like I would remark on that differently,
I
personally.
wonder what sort of fertilizer or growth tonic these plants are getting. Whatever it is, it's definitely working.
It could be horse manure.
Those are the most vibrant flowers we've seen in a while. I bet they smell extra strong.
Yes, they certainly do.
It's a good thing you're the one with the nose. This plant makes Miles Jr. look like a single blade of grass.
Okay, regrettably no cocoa plants, it would appear. Let's look at this experiment desk. Flies.
They're just doing what flies do best.
Flying? What about notes about flies?
Well now, this is interesting.
Is it? Is it gonna be interesting? I'm a little dubious. Etheric effects, flora. Larger, more vibrant flowers, chlorophyll production seemingly triples. Root systems strengthen, increasing capacity to absorb nutrients. Conclusion. Plants thrive from exposure to small etheric currents. Further experiments are needed to determine long-term effects. Etheric effects on fauna. Brain is clearly affected, inducing a trance-like state. Muscle control lost. Wings flap in predictable pattern. Conclusion. If animals with greater cognitive ability, including humans, are exposed to specific quantities of ethericity, they will go into a stupor, appearing unresponsive or dead. Oh, that is interesting. Because that seems to suggest that daughter Juliet, like, had the means to render her mother unconscious and appear dead so that perhaps she would be buried alive.
Just a bunch of technical nonsense. I can't understand a word of it.
And somehow, did that not get added to my Blue's Clues notebook? I feel like it didn't, and I feel like it should have been. How was she able to conclude that from houseflies? She's so... Look, she goes to university, Neko. She's so smart. I pressed the button. This is good. Oh, I see. That was just the current. So this thing generates an etheric current, and it made the flies move slowly because they're in fly stupor.
Etheric pressure? What a bunch of nonsense. I have no idea nor desire to know what purpose that thing has.
I bet she reads books and everything. I know, it's like so smart. Guess that's kind of...
I'm guessing they're probably full of more scientific equipment or plant-related stuff.
These
They
important?
appear to be scientific scribblings. I can't make heads nor tails of them.
That makes two of us.
They appear to be...
That makes...
All the same. So none of these foreground books are the volumes back there. Again, I'm just like willingly making the decision that anytime we're using like perspective to put like a large thing in the foreground for like dramatic visual effect, that actually these books are probably like 4 feet tall or something, and they're just like stacked against the wall. Yeah, right. Like the current's just kind of like loose in the room, right? Just like turning that thing on, like it's pretty dangerous. I don't know if she has safety equipment. We did not. Not for some reason. I just saw the interaction item name change, but it does not appear like that actually. Oh yeah, we haven't gone to the graveyard. When are we gonna do that? What was the purpose of going to the graveyard? I don't remember now.
Ah, St. Denis Cemetery. Best view in the city. It's just a shame none of the residents can enjoy it. I think I'm buried around here somewhere. Wonder how the old gravestone is doing these days.
Hello, police officer.
I don't know him. Must be a recent addition to the force. Well, at least he won't recognize you.
Graveyard seems like a place you'd find a weeping angel. It could be, but I'm just... There was some reason someone told us to go to the graveyard earlier, and I just absolutely don't remember what it was now. In fairness, I feel like it was a while ago, but that might have been like 20 minutes, to be honest.
Looks like people have left markings and offerings in front of this tomb. You may think it's a silly superstition, but I wish you'd leave a bottle of Bollingworth at my grave every now and then.
Why? Do you think that you'd be able to access it? As a ghost? Trapped in my brain? That feels silly.
Good day to you, officer.
Good day, sir. How may I be of assistance?
It's a nice day for a walk through the cemetery.
Sure is a nice day to be walking around the cemetery, wouldn't you agree?
I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. Personally, the noise those bugs are making is starting to drive me crazy.
I would love to get in that tomb for some reason that I should probably remember, but don't.
Would you mind letting me in the tomb, please?
Afraid I can't do that, sir. This tomb is currently part of a police investigation and ain't available for visits until further notice.
I definitely saw a mugging over there. Don't ask questions, just go, like, check into it.
I think I saw someone being mugged at the front entrance.
Nice try, sir, but that's clearly a bunch of bull.
I really can't quite pick up on exactly what the setting of this game is supposed to be. Like, at first I was thinking, like kind of trying to be, like, Victorian steampunk London, England, Chumley. And, like, some of the descriptions still seem like that. But then we have, like, voodoo and Creole, and then, like, this, like, random guy with, like, a Southern American accent. Like, I don't know what's going on.
You're just trying to get me to step away so you can go inside the tomb.
Moi?
What? No, I would never do such a thing.
How dare he?
In any case, there's another officer stationed at the entrance, so if there was somebody being mugged, he'd see it for sure.
That's super weird because I feel like the character would be aware of that and then not try and make that extremely poor attempt to distract this guard because he's aware that there would be another guard there because he would have had to pass them to get here. That seems weird. Like, this is a steampunk era, a Victorian-era New York. Wow, that... I got no indication of that from the game itself. I'd much more readily be inclined to guess somewhere in the South, but, like, definitely not New York based on what we've got so far. And no, I don't feel like bull is, like, an appropriate statement for the time. I feel like just outright swearing would be, like, slightly more likely.
Well, at the very least, it's nice to see the department is hiring competent officers who aren't easily fooled.
Can I just give him drugs or something? So there's the exit. Can I...
Nice view of the river from up here. You can hardly even see the cloud of smog over the chum.
There's just a lot of hitboxes that just say tomb on them.
Plaque says Harrison. Doesn't look very opulent, so I guess it doesn't belong to anyone important. Looks like people have left markings and offerings in front of this tomb. You may think it's a... This just goes to show you can't take it with you, so you might as well spend it all on a giant tomb.
Dracula says, I was thinking this was supposed to be New Orleans. That's really funny because you weren't actually here for like some of the earlier parts where... So basically here's the case that we're dealing with so far, is that like we... I'll just state briefly that we started with one case at the very beginning of the game that ended abruptly when we accidentally manslaughtered our partner and now he haunts our brain as a ghost. After like 3 months passed, I think, we're sort of like a disgraced police officer because the chief of police believes that we just like murdered our partner, which feels a little random. Like, why were we hired in the first place if he hated us so much that he just assumed we murdered our partner in the line of duty? But so like, because we're a disgraced police officer, someone at the force has been like, sneaking us cases to sort of work as a private detective. And there's a case of like a wealthy woman who was presumed dead and at her own funeral, like woke up in the casket and has since been acting, is like mute and not acting herself. And, there was a young man who was, basically courting her daughter, who was accused of the crime because his family has ties to voodoo magic. So, like, there is actually reason to suspect New Orleans, but, like, so far nothing has said New York to me, like, at all. Yeah, like, also a fair point, Zagula. I think I've been playing too many Somnium Files games this year, but, like, yeah, typically when the chief of police thinks you, like, murdered a person, like, you'd maybe be in prison. Except in the Somnium Files universe, in which case we just, like, occasionally use harsh words against you, but let you roam free even though we think you did crimes. So, like, I can't do anything here? Why did I come here? Very productive. My instinct says that the next thing I should do is try to talk to Juliet, because I know that she's running weird experiments. I don't know what I expect her to say, though, or if she'll tell me anything useful if I ask her.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Yeah, Brandon, when you're dealing with the confines of the Somnium Files universe, you have to accept a lot more insanity. It is true.
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Aethericity is mainly the thing I'd like to ask about.
Do you know anything about ethericity, Miss Montgomery?
You surprised me, Mr. Fordham. I had no idea someone of your profession would know or care about something like that.
I've found that it pays to be open-minded.
To answer your question, yes, I am familiar with the theory of ethericity. In fact, it's recently become a focus of my studies.
You know, I happen to have noticed that.
Despite what the newspapers have been reporting, it's already possible to access it in small quantities from the air around us.
Ah, so that's the theory of it. This is Kaladesh. This is just Kaladesh.
Have you conducted any experiments?
No, my research has been purely theoretical. I don't have the means to do anything practical, I'm afraid.
It's a great point, Zacula. If we reach a point as a society that, like, powerful AIs are compact enough to fit inside your eyeball, and we have a machine that allows you to probe people's subconscious mind against their will, like, I'll be an excellent candidate to just, like, be a part of that program. I hope I get Tama instead of Iba. Or Marcos. F Marcos.
deceiver, dissembler. Her trousers are alight. I can't understand why Juliet might not want to make her research public, though.
Tell me about your experiments and your means of maybe sort of killing your mom?
Miss Montgomery, please don't lie to me. I know you've been conducting experiments with ethericity. I've seen the room you're renting on Forest Lane.
What? But how?
Crimes. Don't worry about it. I feel like I don't want to say that I took the key in her room, even though that's literally true. And I don't think that this brother lie is a very convincing lie. So I think I'm going to go with the one that just makes me sound professional and a little ominous.
I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't find things out, Miss Montgomery. Now please, drop the act and tell me about your experiments.
Fine. I've been researching etheric effects on living organisms. I'm planning on presenting my discoveries to the board once I make more progress.
Hey, enlighten me. Which board is that? Which board specifically do you talk to about electrocuting plants and animals with sky magic? What's the board for that? And like, what's the desired outcome of presenting something to that board also?
So far, I've managed to discover that plant growth is accelerated significantly. It's given me quite the advantage in class.
Secular says, I'd literally pay any price to have a Tama. Would you literally give up your left eye? Because you would have to do that also.
But isn't that cheating?
You have no idea how difficult it's been for me to be taken seriously, Mr. No matter how hard I tried, my work wasn't valued on its own merits by my peers or professors. I fought hard to get where I am. I wasn't about to lose all that just because some pig-headed idiots didn't think my best was good enough.
That sounds awfully familiar.
What about your notes on the effects of ethericity on animals?
Pop it out with a spoon. I appreciate the dedication.
Oh, those aren't complete. I haven't tested the effects on anything larger than flies. Those experiments were mainly to satisfy my curiosity, but they have little to do with my actual research.
Curiosity? Seems like a lot of effort to go to just to answer a question.
Agreed.
Then, I never really understood these scientific types.
I don't know what information I expect to get about Andrew by asking, but I'll ask.
What can you tell me about your brother?
Andrew, Mama's precious little boy. If you've met him, you pretty much know all you need to. He's had the whole world handed to him on a silver platter. But he's in for a rude awakening someday. Mother can only provide for him for so long.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
You seem to be guilty of crimes. I don't really know what to do. Does that mean I'm supposed to Facebook? So these are just documents. I have none suspects. That's false. Juliet is suspect. So I'm trying to get them drugs. Maybe I just wander around for a while and see if I can get them drugs. I guess I could go ask what's-his-face's mom about poison that the voodoo people would know anything about. I could also just let me talk to the mom first, and then I'll talk to him, and then we'll see where we're at.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
Is the tea ready?
She's not gonna be much help right now.
Never mind, I won't ask her any questions even though I have reason to. This is another one of those fun conceits I enjoy about adventure games. Is like you reach a point like this where you're not like totally sure what the next thing to do is, and you'll just like wander into people's homes and be like, hello, and they'll be like, oh, hi, good to see you, and then just wander off without saying anything like, oh, okay. So I guess I'll go to the jail.
Could I ask you some more questions, Mr. Martin?
It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Somehow isn't the new question I expected to have. Hatred of Dupree.
Albert, did you hate Madame Dupree?
The woman is cruel, sadistic, and bigoted. When she found out about my relationship with Juliet, she sent me a letter threatening to have me killed if I got near her house or her daughter.
Okay, but did you hate her?
So yes, Mr. Fordham, I hated her.
Thank you for clarifying. That was my question.
But even so, I love her daughter.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I clicked past that. I was looking at chat. Man, I'm like real off it today.
Juliet and her mother didn't get along at all. I never asked why, but it was obvious there was something going on.
Intriguing.
Luckily, that was
That's all
added to
for
my
now.
casebook. Apparently, that's all I wanted to know. Just wish I knew what it was that I know. Discover the source of their rift. Didn't we, like, that's not even new information, though. Like, we knew that they, like, she, like, told us herself they had been fighting recently, didn't she? Because, like, we asked her, like, basically if she was, like, upset that her mom died. I do not know why it's capturing that. I feel like my computer's just, like, having a fit. It's been a disaster. Oh, I can't go to her weird illicit apartment anymore. That's mildly entertaining. I guess I'll go talk to her again. Thanks, Akil. I really hope I find those illegal narcotics soon. You have a good night. Thanks for stopping by.
He's busy. That's not to bother.
So who am I supposed to talk to about the rift between her and the mother, if not her, one of the two people involved? I feel like the game's starting to get weird, and not the kind of weird I expected it to get. So then, like, where do I go? I'm gonna go to the coffee house. I guess I could ask the cook. That's a good shout.
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
You know what? I'm not gonna review. No, let's do it. I'm already here. I can't not
go over
go.
the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
Yeah, I'd love to ask you about the cemetery
I
officer.
seem to have hit a roadblock. There's an officer posted at Dupre's family tomb, and he won't let me in.
Makes sense. Who's the officer?
I've never seen him before. He's young, has a small scar over his left eye, and a distinct Dixie accent.
Ah, yes, that would be Officer Grant. He's only been with the department for about 2 months. I don't know a lot about him, but he's already got the reputation for being the type of policeman who'd go out of his way to help old ladies cross the street. Typical Southern gentleman, it seems. Perhaps you can use that to your advantage?
I'll say that a woman's being mugged at the entrance to the cemetery. Alright, at least that was useful information. Hey, do you know where there's a Weeping Angel statue or drugs I could use?
Madame Dupre's son isn't being very helpful.
Is he refusing to talk?
More like incapable. The family doctor has him pretty well drugged to the gills. I need to find some way to perk him up.
Well, you know, we are in a coffee house.
I have a feeling it will take something a touch more powerful than coffee. That's enough about the case for now.
Okay.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it.
Here we go. Say that a little old woman is being mugged at the entrance, but that she needs help to cross the road. It might work. That could do it. It might put us over the top. Yeah, let's go to the house and talk to the chef? What's her title? Kitchen maid chef?
Stick around. I may have...
Don't worry.
Maybe the implication is I'm supposed to get that information from the brother and I just need to find the statue. Maybe we do a run of every location looking for angels. It's mildly annoying that they're like, is an angel here right outside the house. So it's not at the university, it's not at the graveyard, it's not... I mean, it's not in the coffee house, right? Would I really have missed that? I'm gonna laugh if it's, like, in our own house. That would be great. I'll check there last. I've checked all of these. It's, like, not gonna be in the jail. Where the crap am I gonna find it?
Ah, home at last.
Hello, Miles. So what's this big case Upton's got you on? Another missing pet?
If only. A Gascon Grand Dame was attacked and almost interred alive.
You mean Madame Dupre? The one whose obituary was in the paper?
Yes, I do mean that one.
Very same.
Goodness, that does sound serious.
Yeah, the drugs are for the guy on the sofa. Well, like, the game wants us to believe that he is unresponsive and weird because he's, like, partially sedated. And that if we give him incredibly intense narcotics, that he'll have a normal conversation with us, and then maybe die of a heart attack afterwards if the order of operation goes in our favor.
Tell me if there's anything I can do to help. I know you haven't been feeling your best lately.
You're always a help to me, Addie. Though I assure you I have this well in hand.
I certainly hope so.
Can you tell me where to find drugs?
Yes, dear.
I think I'm accidentally solving a puzzle I don't even care about. Will you help me distract the officer by being a damsel in distress, I think is the implication?
I was wondering if you could do me a favor.
What is it?
See, that was my thought too, Nego. I thought maybe my wife had cocaine.
There's an officer posted in front of Madame Dupre's family tomb, and I need to get a look inside. Could you use your wiles and charm to distract him?
My wiles and charm,
Well, you are irresistible, darling. I'm sure he wouldn't turn away a lady in need. Say you've gotten lost in the cemetery and ask him to show you the way out.
Should we really be tricking a police officer like that?
Hey, you know what? I'm just now starting to figure out that the statue's, like, probably, like, inside the tomb, huh? That's probably why I'm doing this?
There's no harm in it, and I won't be but a moment inside. It's in a good cause.
All right, let's go then.
The cause is cocaine, I promise. I promise it's a good cause.
Excuse me, officer. I was wondering if you could help me?
What do you want?
He doesn't sound like a gentleman.
I've gotten all turned around. Do you have any idea how to get to the front gate?
My suggestion would be to turn around and head back the way you came.
I believe that this person has been mischaracterized by the person who told us how to solve this puzzle.
Yes, I've tried that, but I seem to just be going in circles. Perhaps you could point me in the right direction?
Stop right there. That's quite enough from you.
I beg your pardon?
Don't think I can't tell what your game is. You're trying to lure me away from here and into some alley where your gang of Sambos is gonna rob me blind.
Oh, okay. The problem is that he's, like, super racist.
Exactly how many of them have you got lying in wait for poor, unsuspecting fools you bring them?
Just one. And
wow,
he doesn't
that was...
appreciate you talking to his wife that way.
That took an extremely weird turn all of a sudden.
You know, Miles, sometimes I forget how absolutely delightful it is to watch you lose your head.
Miles, was that really necessary?
I'm sorry, Addie. You know how I get with people whose minds are full of that rubbish.
Let's just get him out of sight before this lands both of us in jail. That bush over there should work.
I mean, does that really solve the problem? I'm not convinced that solves the problem. He may remember what we look like. There's a better chance he remembers what our wife looks like, and he was already suspicious of her. And then he's gonna wake up unconscious in a bush and just, like, be okay with that? I'm skeptical, to be honest.
I have to say, I wasn't expecting assaulting a policeman to be on today's activity list.
It'll be fine. When you're on the force as long as I was, you can pretty much get away with murder.
If that's meant as a joke, it's probably too soon. I feel like it's too soon. Because it's implied that we, like, sort of got away with murder?
Although I think you may have already used up that privilege.
Yeah, this just feels like a weird turn of phrase.
Well, it's been fun, but I need to take my wiles and charm over to my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre.
Nico says, you're in a graveyard in front of a tomb. You're surrounded by the best hiding places for a body. So you're suggesting that the thing that almost happened to poor Mrs. Dupre, we just, like, do willingly to this guy? I'm not totally against it.
I'll see you at home later, dear. Try to stay out of trouble.
Into the tomb! Give me them drugs, lady!
What a dramatic statue. I'm rather surprised no one has defaced it. Hang on. You don't suppose this is...
Give me them drugs. Also, what's this?
A nest is full of eggs. But where's the mother bird?
what another shockingly random detail.
Perhaps she abandoned it.
Always assuming the worst, aren't you, Miles? Surprise, surprise! A hidden compartment with a stash of pills inside. Seems Mr. Montgomery has a little business on the side.
Excellent. Got them drugs. I feel like that's a great place to save the stream. Oh my god, I can't even type. I'm spent. Got them drugs. Hello, it's me, Big Vasco. I don't know why all the technology is weird. I don't know why this window for Lamplight City is capturing weird stuff. I don't know why my green screen filters aren't working. But it's fine. None of that's really that big a deal. It's just annoying to me. I hope that it has something to do with it. I mean, this game has been kind of a backache to get working, just generally. So, like, it could just be, like, the weird nature of how this game runs that, like, all these problems are happening. But, actually, let me try something. Real quick. Let me just, like, quit to desktop. And then, like, now that that program's just, like, not running, does this work? No, it's still doing something weird. What is that? I really want to check that, but it, like, doesn't work good on stream. Why is that happening? It should be fine, and it's not, and it's annoying. Anyway, it's not important. I hope you're enjoying this game. I have no idea what chat's reaction is to it. People seem really excited at first, and then after we, like, committed manslaughter, like, chat quieted down, and I wasn't sure if that was because people were like, you know what? Not into it. Or if, just, you know, life things. It's always hard to tell. I'll try to discuss with people in the Discord what interest level is, because, like, I think, at least for the moment, I'm happy to continue playing this game, as long as people are interested, but if people prefer something else, we can look into that as well. But I am surprisingly super tired. Even before my brain started shutting down, I was stifling some yawns that you may or may not have noticed, and I apologize for that. So let's not keep it running too much longer. I was hoping for Victorian London creepy horror, but instead it's strange Randall and Hopkirk LA noir. Now, I still don't know what that is, and I assume that that assessment is accurate. It is funny, though, that, like, not only does it not generally seem to be along the lines of horror game that I personally was expecting, but, like, it's also somehow, like, not even, like, London or, like, properly, like, Victorian England. It's, like, Victorian, not New York, with, like, Creole voodoo people. Like, it just doesn't know what it's doing. This game really made you want to see Steampunk Scout. Now, there's a pitch. There's a premise. But yeah, like, I'm not going to be offended if people don't want to keep playing this. I had an impression it was going to be closer to spooky Halloween themes. I mean, just that intro screen from the start was, like, so atmospheric and spooky, and, like, I don't know, some of the stuff I'd seen in the trailers at least made it seem like that. Oh, I see. It is a British detective show about two detectives. One gets murdered and the other one haunts them. Yeah, no, it's basically that. It is pretty much that. That is accurate. Although, the similarity sort of falls apart when you point out that that is comedy, and I think there's supposed to be funny bits in this game. If it's trying to really be comedy, I don't think it's quite working. I don't know. I have, like, mixed feelings about the game so far. Definitely don't hate it. It's not what I thought it'd be. Not opposed to playing it. Not, like, super compelled to, like, definitely keep playing. But we'll ponder that until next time. Next Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll be back with more 999, when hopefully some of these Ghost in the Machine issues that have once again plagued my life are addressed in some manner or other. And we'll be back with something next Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific. It may or may not be more Lamplight City. wanted to call it Steamlight City, which it's not. But yeah, before we sign off for the evening, there's still one unfinished order of business, and that is to locate the secret Squirtle. Somewhere on the couch behind me, I've hidden a secret Squirtle. If it's in plain sight, like this extremely tiny Squirtle, that one doesn't count. That one itself cannot be the secret Squirtle because it's in plain sight. But of course, locating a secret Squirtle will be an omen of good luck for you in the week to come. So I encourage you to consider where perhaps I've hidden a Squirtle, if not that particular one. And I'll give you all a moment to consider where it might be. And I'll keep up with chat and drink this 100% juice apple. I do also hope people are liking what, at least for the moment, I'm calling the swear jar. It seems like people are. I really was not expecting so much use for it so quickly. I thought at best people would slowly warm up to it, but here we are. Yes, Sniper Justice, Juice Apple. Have you not watched to the end of a stream before? The brand of apple juice that I get is a grocery store brand that is simply labeled 100% juice apple. And so it's not apple juice, it's juice apple. It's like legally distinct.
Big titty.
You don't bub it. That's fine. There's no pressure to do it. I'm just making a note that I hope people are enjoying it. At the very least, I hope you enjoy people using it. That's fine. There you go. Demolition making good use of it. Oh, you have heard it before. I mean, it's not my fault that that's what they call it, right? Here, you know what? I'm just for demonstration purposes, because I don't think I've ever done that. Yeah, at some point, the Beans quote will go on. Like, this is a perfect solution to the, like, I didn't feel like that was appropriate for channel point usage. But, like, the swear jar, like, that's like... This is basically the solution to the I was eating those beans problem. Where, like, I know a lot of people wanted that. And I didn't feel like I could add that for such, like, general use. And this was the best solution that's occurred to me so far. So, it's working. I'll be right back. All right, let's continue to break the stream setup as much as possible, right? Actually, where did I go to, like, reverse the footage on this to begin with? It has to be under Logitech properties? Apply rotation, flip vertical. Where did I do this? Where do I actually have this flipped from? Now I'm just confused. It's been so long since I've done this. Filters. Transform. Did it transform? Oh, I can't flip horizontal while I'm live? Question mark? Is that true? That seems to be... Oh, I moved myself. I was gonna flip it back so you could read this normal. It's my 100% juice apple. It's backwards because I always keep the camera backwards, and I was gonna fix it, but I don't seem to be able to do that while I'm live, I guess, which is interesting. That's more new information I have. Anyway, I'm just gonna set this up. So it seems like everyone's pretty much guessed one location. Let's see if that is where the Squirtle is hiding. I'll try to catch any latecomers, I guess, also. Here's our good new friend, Parental Lobster. Things are falling over, as predicted. This time around, he was hiding Squishy Eeyore. He's so big that he could totally eclipse him. Such a good lobster. Unfortunately, not so much the Squirtle. Find the large unicorn fella. Oh, yes. This is our... If you're not familiar with the character of Pusheen, it's sort of like a Japanese... You can see it on the tag here. Normally, Pusheen is like a cat that is drawn in a particular way. This is like Pusheen being a narwhal. I think these are supposed to be whiskers, but they always droop down, so they do kind of look like fancy eyelashes, huh? Interesting that you describe it that way, though, because hiding back there was a unicorn. Very sneaky. Under Jolteon. Under Jolteon, huh? I don't know if that meant... I think there's literally nothing under Jolteon, because I assumed that no one would actually expect me to hide Squirtle there. I might just double check that. Oh no, that's not true. That isn't true. I wasn't sure if she would hold under her own weight, which apparently she does, but I was hiding the treasure grub that I have from, Hollow Knight. Yeah, I caught that. So... this doesn't really hide behind Naomi now. She's very big. I could eclipse many things with Naomi, Queen of Narwhals. There is a tiny donut Squirtle, but as I pointed out, that one's not a secret. Because you can see he's right here. That's not secret, he's right there. I made a point of pointing him out because he was so small. Well, like, that's him. He's just there. So, I think that's all the ones I've noticed. So, I'm going to reveal that this time, very sneakily, I hid the secret Squirtle behind Winnie the Pooh. Because I basically never have a chance to do that. He's so small. Very sneaky, I think. I thought that was very sneaky. He's almost under the Jolteon. It's more like he was almost tucked under... So, like, Jolteon's resting on top of Big Eevee. It's kind of hard to tell, because they're both sort of hiding back there. But yeah, that was the location of our secret Squirtle tonight. Like I said, I'll check in on the Discord and see what people's reaction to this game is, because I'm not entirely sure. But we'll be back with something next Saturday, and next Friday we will continue our playthrough of 999, one of my favorite games of all time that I'm excited to share with people, and I hope that people are enjoying, along with the things that I've tried to add to the stream that are apparently broken today for no reason that seems to be my fault, but somehow probably is anyway. That'll do it for this stream. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being you, and I hope to see you again soon. VascoDaGamer signing off for finally getting some blasted Lamplight City arguably working. Until I next see ya, I hope you all have a wonderful time. Goodbye.